Like,
thank you, sir.
So a very good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
And it's about the time for us to start. So I'll ask Miss Asha to host the event. Ma'am, the screen is all yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings on the occasion of World Telecom and Information Society Day 2022. To each one of you, a very warm welcome to all of you on the special occasion of the relaunch of Center for Telecom Management Studies, popularly known as CTMS, on the World Telecommunication and Information Society Day 2022. My name is Asha Kiran Sharad, and I have the privilege of being your host for today's occasion. Today, we all are honored to have distinguished and eminent intellectual leaders from the ICT ecosystem of our country to grace this occasion together with all of us. To begin with, I would like to invite Mr. Mohan Raju, the honorary convener of CTMS, for the opening remarks and to set today's session open for further proceedings. Mr. Mohan Raju.
Thank you, Asha. I think I'll share my screen. Asha, I think, is my screen visible? You need to, I think, stop sharing.
Yeah, it is.
No, it is visible.
Okay, 1 second, please. Yes, this is my screen. Okay, I hope all of you are able to see the CTMS slide with the ctms.org.in, right? Is it the same screen that we all are seeing?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. All right, thank you.
Sir, actually, we are live, but nothing's happening in the hall. I can't see anything happening.
Go into the Galaxy mode.
Sharad,
just,
I think you need to mute Sharad.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. All right. So thank you, Asha, for the warm introduction and welcome. Good morning, Shri T. H. Chaudhary ji, all the eminent and distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Today on this World Telecom and Information Society Day 2022, it is my honor and privilege to be with all of you for this momentum occasion of the relaunch of CTMS. CTMS is an eminent independent body put together and run by legendary industry stalwarts in the year 1989. CTMS was founded by Dr. T. H. Chaudhary, when he was the founding CMD of BSNL, with the patronage from Dr. F.C. Kohli, the founder CEO of TCS. CTMS was set up with the motto to develop the fledgling Indian ICT ecosystem through path-breaking knowledge-based initiatives. As you can see, a clip of the incorporation document in 1989, attested by many like-minded, purpose-driven stalwarts, has been displayed as a fond memory on this occasion. CTMS vision was for India to have the least expensive telephone and IT services within the reach of every family and business without any waiting, and for enabling highest quality and variety of services that computers, communications convergence, satellites, optical fiber transmission, and electronics exchanges were making available. In today's times, these all are challenges of the past, thanks to the significant progress made by Indian ICT sector. But at that point in time, these were major challenges and hurdles to overcome to make affordable telephony accessible to the masses of India. Since inception, CTMS has made many significant contributions towards the development of the telecom sector in India till the year 2006 through its various initiatives, and has a rich heritage of intellectual initiatives and contributions. Dr. T. H. Chaudhary continues to share his inputs and recommendations for the nation's telecom development till date. CTMS's flagship contributions have been in the areas of inputs for the draft bills of Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, policy inputs for NTP 94 and 99, campaigns for privatization of telecoms in India, and bringing greater and cheaper access to telephony for the citizens, as well as its campaigns towards the privatization of BSNL and MTNL. CTMS has conducted several seminars, discussions, and talks in the chief cities of India to various chambers of commerce, professional bodies, pressmen, and academicians. It has so far bought about 235 issues of its journal, made 2,000 plus presentations, and published 4 books, all with a single objective to make quality and cheaper telephony available to each and every citizen of India. As a part of the Prime Minister's National Task Force on IT and software in 1998, CTMS produced 8 recommendations, all of which were well accepted within months of their submission. And implementation of these recommendations began in 1998 itself by the Government of India. Today, on this occasion, we have the privilege of having with us eminent experts and intellectuals like Dr. R.S. Sharma, Sri T.V. Ramachandran ji, Sri Sudhindra Kulkarni ji, Dr. Shailendra Hajela ji, Dr. Bhaskar Rao, and Dr. Jay Kumar, who have witnessed and experienced the works and impact of CTMS firsthand. And we all are eagerly looking forward to hear from each one of them on this occasion today. So without further time, I would like to hand over to the host for further proceedings. And before I hand over, a brief note on the flow of sessions today. We have 4 major sections to the session today. The first one is the address by all our distinguished guests today. And it will be followed by an address by Dr. T.H. Chaudhary himself on the theme of telecoms from where to where. And this session will be followed by address by various industry stakeholders in the theme ICTs today and beyond. This will be succeeded by a Lifetime Achievement Award presentation by Dr. Ramesh Chopra, Chairman to Sri Dr. Hanuman Chaudhary ji. So with that background, as the opening note, I would like to hand over to Asha for further proceedings, please. Asha.
Thank you, Mr. Raju, for the opening remarks. So now we will begin. With the address from our chief guest, Dr. R.S. Sharma. Dr. Sharma is presently the CEO of National Health Authority, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. Previous to this assignment, he was the chairman for Telecom Regulatory Authority of India from 2015 to 2020. Dr. Sharma is an IAS officer of Jharkhand cadre and an alumnus of IIT Kanpur. Dr. Sharma has several prestigious firsts to his credit, including the implementation of Aadhaar, the world's largest identity platform. He's recently published the book, Making of Aadhaar, World's Largest Identity Program, is well known and read by all of us. Dr. Sharma brings a deep interest on using technology for governance, and his contribution in this area have been recognized both in India and abroad. Dr. R.S. Sharma is not live with us on this occasion pertaining to his priority engagements with the PMO. However, he has been extremely kind enough to share with us his insightful and inspiring words on this occasion in a pre-recorded video.
Audio.
Sharad, not able to hear the audio, Sharad.
You're not able to hear anything.
Maybe, sir, you unmute your microphone.
Yeah, Sharad is just checking. I think there's some trouble with the audio.
Meanwhile, can I share the audio?
Yeah. Okay, so I think Asha, while Sharad figures it out, we can move forward. This recording will play after Sri T.V. Ramachandran's address.
Well, good morning, friends, and I must convey my thanks to the Center for Telecommunications Management Studies, CTMS, and Dr. Chaudhary for inviting me to this relaunch event of CTMS. I really feel privileged because Dr. Chaudhary has been one of the pioneers in the telecommunications revolutions in this country. As it was being sort of launched in some sense, in 1989, this was founded as a non-profit society to wage the intellectual campaign for demonopolization and competition in Indian telecom. Now, at that point in time, in the early 90s, so to say, the thought was essentially that state-run entities will all do the work and there should be monopolies in some sectors. So I think at that point of time, if you really thought of bringing out competition in a very critical sector at that point in time, it's really a very major sort of thought process which Dr. Chaudhary has introduced, and therefore he is really a doyen of Indian telecommunications industry. And the initial person who conceptualized, I'm told he also kind of wrote or was the main contributor to the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India Act of 1997. And therefore, I think he has again been a thought leader in this space. I will obviously, I have been working in the information and communication technology sector since quite a long time. But the telecommunication, the real kind of connections to telecommunications proper happened when I joined the Government of India as secretary in the Department of IT, and of course for some small period of time as the secretary of Department of Telecommunications. So there at that time, the Honorable Prime Minister launched the Digital India program in 2014. And the three major pillars of that program were, number one was the digital connectivity as a utility to citizens. And the second one was software and services on demand. And the third was essentially the citizens empowerment. So these three major pillars were there, but the basic infrastructure of telecommunication is a prerequisite for any digital kind of revolution taking place, any digital space developing. And then soon after 2015, I became the chairman of the Telecommunication Regulatory Authority of India, and I had seen this landscape in telecommunication sector. It was fairly fragmented. There were about a dozen players in this space. The connectivity was also 2G, 3G, and very little 4G. And of course, there were a lot of challenges of connectivity in the rural areas. Also, we had some program of what is called National Optical Fiber Network, which was labeled as the connectivity program for the whole country. So I think that's where we started. And again, the basic thoughts of infusing competition in the sector, number one. Number two, also ensuring consumers get a fair deal. I think the competition was already there. In fact, the competition was pretty intense also at that point in time also. But the basic fact that the consumers were to be the central focus, because we have seen many times regulators become the spokesperson of the industry which they regulate, number one. Number two, there is obviously a desire to become popular in the space in which you are working. And my personal view was that, I'm not here to run a popularity contest. I'm here to guard the interest of the consumers who do not really have a voice in the sector. And therefore, I, started working for the consumers in mind. We introduced net neutrality principles. We, a lot of players came in. Reliance Jio came in at that point in time, and there were a lot of challenges in their entry to the system, and we took necessary steps to ensure that there was a fair competition in the market. Of course, regulator was also criticized for those things, but I think in the retrospect, if you look at it, today we have 1.2 billion mobile connections. It is all 4G in this country. It is the data which was selling at 275 rupees per gigabyte is now selling at 7 rupees per gigabyte. There are 800 million mobile connections. There are 600 million smartphones in this country. The data rates are absolutely cheap, as I indicated. So I think today we have a very vibrant telecommunications market. But then I must say that the foundations of that philosophy of an open competition, of a real fair play or a level playing field to all the operators, interconnectivity being at the center of this entire exercise in telecommunication was at the focus. Then, of course, the Digital India programs, other objectives of creating platforms. So we have now, and I also had some role to play, digital identity in this country, which is Aadhaar. We have the digital payment system, which is UPI. And now we are having a lot of the sectoral work being done, like UHI, Unified Health Interface in the health sector. And also you have the Open Network for Digital Commerce, ONDC initiative being launched. So I think there is a huge amount of vibrancy which is happening in the digital sector. India has truly leapfrogged because Aadhaar, JAM, Janadhan Aadhaar and mobile, which uses the trinity of the digital identity, the communication, mobile communication, and of course the financial inclusion. So this JAM has really empowered people because now everybody, 82% of Indian adults have got bank accounts. So everybody has a bank account. We are doing billions and billions of transactions of direct benefit to the people. Subsidy transfers and other cash transfers are happening at a huge scale. In LPG cylinders alone, we are doing about 2 billion transactions per year into the accounts of people, subsidy transfers. So this JAM trinity has been extremely empowering. That's one part. And of course, you have had multiple other platforms developing on Aadhaar, which is the electronic KYC. You have the authentication system. Electronic KYC has ensured mobile connections in a paperless panel, instantaneously activate mobile connections. And you have the what is called the authentication and digital signatures on demand, which is e-sign, digital locker. All kinds of things have happened since then. And I think India is truly laying under the Digital India program umbrella of the Honorable Prime Minister. India has in the past few years truly laid the foundations of a country which we want to have a digitally empowered society and a knowledge economy. So that is the broad vision of Digital India, which is actually happening. CTMS can play a significant role in contributing towards the national priorities of Digital India, Make in India, and Skill India by involving all the key stakeholders like industry and the academia, and they have already been doing a phenomenal work. I really admire the tenacity and the strength of Dr. Chaudhary, who even despite his advanced age, he continues to sort of work in this space in a tireless manner, contribute to show his own personal example of sacrifice. And this is what we need in this country. We need in this country people who are public spirited. We have created digital public goods. Recently we created COVIN, the software program, which actually took care in some sense or in an orderly manner the vaccination of the entire country. We have now 1.9 billion vaccinations recorded on our platform. There's no platform in the world which has scaled so fast. The interoperability, which is we have learned from telecommunication space, the interconnection as we call it there, the interoperability, frugality, openness, open source, open standards, open APIs. All these are the basic principles, and inclusive, of course, any system in this country, because this is such a diverse country with such diverse kind of geographies, educational levels, that we need to create systems which are also, where the digitally have-nots are not left out. So I think that's also one of the basic principles of inclusion, which actually must happen. The software must be frugal. Imagine the 5.4 billion transactions which we had last year in UPI. These are transactions free of cost to the citizens. If I transfer 100 rupees to you, you get 100 rupees, not even a paisa less. So these are the nature. In India is an extremely price sensitive market. So where if it's a very low value but a high volume transaction country. So we should devise our systems in such a manner which cater to the price sensitive nature of our people, also are able to cater billions of transactions, because we have to scale like nobody else. It's not a billion population. We have to plan for a societal kind of scale. A billion scale is what we have to plan for. And I think that is what we continue to do. And I think all such public spirited people like Dr. Chaudhary and the CTMS, they continue to contribute towards this journey. And I think the journey will end only when we achieve the final objective of a 5 trillion economy and a country which is digitally empowered society and a knowledge economy. Then and only then we will stop. So thank you once again for inviting me on this occasion. And I convey my great wishes to all people on this World Telecommunication and Information Society Day, to all the participants in this relaunch ceremony. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your nice speech on this occasion. On behalf of CTMS, gratitude for taking time to inspire us with your kind words. For this occasion of relaunch, CTMS, we have Sri TV Ramachandran as a guest of honor. Sri Ramachandran is presently the President, Broadband India Forum, as well as the founder and CEO of Advisory at TVR, consultancy firm in the ICT and TMT space. Previously, he was the Resident Director of Affairs and Government Relations at Vodafone India from 2009 to 2014. TV, as is known amongst his colleagues, has played a key role in mobile telecommunications in India from the very beginning in 1994. He was the first CEO of Sterling Cellular Limited, part of SR, that later became Vodafone India Limited. Sri TVR is credited with pioneering the effort to establish and lead the Cellular Operators Association of India, COAI, in 1997, and nurtured it for 12 years as its Director General, to the position of COAI being one of the most credible and vibrant professional bodies in India. Respected sir, please welcome.
Thank you, Asha ji. Respected Dr. Chaudhary Garu ji, respected Dr. R.S. Sharma, Shri Sudhendra Kulkarni, Dr. Hajela, Dr. Bhaskar Rao, Dr. Jaiprakash Narayan, convener Shri Mohan Raju, esteemed ladies and gentlemen. Today is indeed a historic day for Indian telecoms, and we're all gathered here on the occasion of World Telecommunications and Information Society Day, and very importantly, to pay tribute to the great telecom reformist, Dr. Chaudhary Garu, a doyen par excellence of Indian telecom. It is my proud privilege as one of Chaudhary Garu's greatest admirers to say a few words on this occasion. In talking about Dr. Chaudhary, where does one start? It's indeed a big challenge. He may be a small-made man, but he is indeed such a giant, a colossus of a man, towering above us all mere mortals in telecom. Most of us have learned from him, and his attributes and accomplishments are so innumerable that we are bound to be grossly inadequate in whatever we say and do on this occasion. Notwithstanding the above, today being the famous ITU WTISD, or earlier called World Telecom Day, please permit me to begin with ITU itself. The theme for WTISD 2022 is essentially the theme of inclusivity of digital technologies, stated as digital technologies for older persons and healthy aging. But I would rather look at it in a wider ambit, not only older persons and healthy aging, but anybody who is differently enabled, who is disadvantaged, because there are various types of divides. There can be a divide of rich and poor, of urban and rural, of educated, uneducated, of elderly and young. So it's a big, very types of divides. And this theme of WTISD is completely in sync with the philosophy and core objective of our nation, which is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. That is, taking all in the path of development and not leaving anyone behind, however weak that person may be. Dr. Chaudhary Garu has been an inveterate champion of inclusivity from the word go. As far back as the 1990s, Chaudhary Garu was fighting for the cause of telecom inclusivity through his campaigning for enhanced affordability and availability of telephone services. He used to say it should be as cheap as a postcard. In that sense, he was truly farsighted and visionary as regards inclusive telecom services for India, and believed, like our late eminent president, Dr. Abdul Kalam, that telecom and digital connectivity is a great leveler, a demolisher of imbalances and inequities. That is what he firmly believed in, and he worked tirelessly for that goal. And so it is most appropriate that we today celebrate not only the inclusivity theme of ITU, but also the contributions of Dr. Chaudhary and the relaunch of CTMS. Even in those early years, Dr. Chaudhary Garu was highly regarded and respected by the global apex body on telecommunications. So much so that he was repeatedly an invited star speaker at their prestigious conferences and meets for several years. For example, he was invited to speak in coveted slots in the famous quadrennial conferences in Geneva of Telecom 87 on modern telecom economics, in Telecom 91 on telecom regulation, in Telecom 95 on telecom futures, and so on and so forth, and many other high-profile ITU and other international events. He was an unmatched evangelist for telecom reforms and growth in India. He sowed the seeds of liberalization of telecom resources, as pointed out by Dr. R.S. Sharma ji, of bringing in privatization, competition, which were all very revolutionary thoughts in those days of when telecom was considered as a natural monopoly. And these have led to the splendid outcomes that we are witnessing today. As the first chairman and managing director of BSNL, India's International Telecommunications Corporation, from 87 to 89, he was a key figure and influence on the mobile telephony age of Indian telecom. And between 89 and 95, he traveled extensively to several cities in India, holding seminars, discussions, debates, workshops, all with the focused objective of mobilizing public awareness and opinion for effecting major telecom reforms through privatization, liberalization, and competition, safeguarded through independent regulations. He always fought for regulation. It is well known that he played a key role, as Dr. Sharma also said, in drafting the TRA bill, which later became the basis of the final TRA Act. As part of his advocacy mission, he founded the Center for Telecommunications Management and Studies in 1989. And today we are here gathered under the auspices of that for the relaunch of that magazine. As a not-for-profit society to wage the intellectual campaign for bringing competition for public benefit. Anything he did was for the Aam Janata, for the common man, for getting telecom to deliver for the common man, not remain a tool of the elitist. He was also responsible for the birth of the telecom manufacturing sector in India. And it owes a lot of thanks for having grown today to great proportions. Coming to the monthly journal of CTMS itself, being a prolific writer himself, he launched it in January 1992, the magazine, the journal of CTMS, and used it effectively to spread his, as well as other reformists of that time, their thoughts and suggestions for progressing Indian telecoms. In those years, we all used to wait eagerly for the monthly issue of CTMS, since it was so informative and enlightening on aspects of modern telecommunication. And all that was very new in India. The CTMS, I must mention, received the patronage and blessings of luminaries like Sri Ratan Tata, Sri Dhirubhai Ambani, Sri Nani Palkiwala, Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao himself, Sri L.K. Advani, and others. And Sri N. Vittal, so famous, the then Secretary of DOT, he was a great supporter, a great admirer of Chaudhry Garu and CTMS. I've seen that personally in those times. I myself, I have personally benefited a lot from the guidance and encouragement of Dr. Chaudhry Garu. During my tenure as the first DG of COAI, many a time have I turned to him. He is my Paramaguru. I used to turn to him for understanding the various challenging situations of those first 2 decades of mobile telecommunications. Dr. Chaudhry Garu always stood by me, rock-like, a firm pillar, and encouraged me through those difficult times. We all owe him a lot. While it is well known that Dr. Chaudhry Garu played a pivotal role in framing the new IT policy of 2000, very few would be aware that he was a prime architect of the first ever national telecom policy. Very few are aware of that, which was released in May 1994. It was a very short and sweet policy, NTP 94, but indeed very far-sighted. It was the first to envision the concept of ubiquity and affordability of telephones for all and by all. In those times of entrenched monopoly, it was truly epoch-making, a great policy, and could have steered us to great heights. Unfortunately, that it faltered a bit in the implementation, quite a bit in the implementation, and therefore necessitated the subsequent formulation of the famous NTP 99 policy, where again Dr. Chaudhry played a crucial part. Dr. Chaudhry Garu passionately believed that Indian telecoms has a tryst with destiny, and that the time had come to redeem that pledge. With unflagging zeal and energy, he campaigned for his vision, despite many challenges, because he earnestly believed, like Edmund Burke, the famous British parliamentarian, whom he used to quote, I remember that in his magazine on secular also he has quoted it. All that is required for imperfections and wrongs to triumph is for good men to see them and do nothing. I think that was a very passionate belief of his. And he would not rest if he sees something wrong. I could go on for hours talking about this great man and his contributions to Indian telecom. But because of the limited time available to us today, I have to perforce conclude here with the following famous quote as a tribute to this fine gentleman. Good leaders have vision and inspire others to turn vision into reality. But great leaders have great vision and share that vision. And not least, they inspire others to create their vision. I would say that Chaudhry Garu was undoubtedly of the latter category. He not only led us, he showed us the vision, but he shared his vision with us, and he constantly taught us to create suitable visions for India to progress in telecommunications. Thank you, sir, for your constant teachings, blessings, guidance, and support. We shall continue to look forward to it. We wish you all the best in the years ahead. I will not say in retirement, because you do not believe in that. You believe in work, work, work. And you will carry on campaigning for the cause without end. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for a patient hearing.
Thank you very much, sir. Our heartfelt gratitude to you, sir, for gracing the occasion and inspiring us with your kind words.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, on this occasion, now I would like to call upon Mr. Raju to make a brief announcement.
Yeah, thank you, Asha. Ramachandran sir, thank you so much for those words. I can't express my feelings as we speak on this day. But yes, Chaudhry Garu, Mr. Ramachandran has been very proactive and been a lead supporter to this revival of CTMS. And on this occasion, I would like to, on behalf of Dr. Ramachandran, I would like to announce the partnership and a MOU between Broadband India Forum and CTMS.
Thank you.
That will be of great support. And thank you, Mr. Ramachandran. Can't do this without your guidance as we move
So it
forward.
will be our honor, Mr. Raju, it will be our honor to serve this. Thank you.
Likewise, sir. Words are falling short, sir. Thank you very much. Over to you, Asha.
Thank you, Mr. Raju. We now welcome our special guest for this occasion, Shri Sudhinder Kulkarni. Shri Sudhinder Kulkarni was an officer on special duty to India's former Prime Minister, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, in the Prime Minister's office between 1998 and 2004. Mr. Kulkarni has authored Music of the Spinning Wheel, Mahatma Gandhi's Manifesto for the Internet Age. Mr. Kulkarni is an alumnus of IIT Bombay. Respected sir, welcome. We would like to hear your kind words on this occasion.
Good morning and namaskar to one and all. At the outset, I wish to pay my respects to Shri Hanuman Chaudhry Saab, the founder of the Center for Telecom Management and Studies, CTMS. My sincere thanks to Shri Mohan Raju ji for inviting me to participate in this relaunch of CTMS today. Chaudhry Saab is truly a legend, a pioneer of the telecom industry in India. Just as FC Kohli Saab was the pioneer of the software industry, two legends, one is no more, the other is as active as ever. He's perhaps in his 90s, I don't know, but he's a 90-year-old or rather 90-year young Karmyogi. True to his name, Hanuman, Hanuman in Ramayana lifted the Dronagiri Parvat to bring Sanjeevani to save the life of Lakshman. At a very critical point in the history of the telecom industry in India, Hanuman Chaudhary Sahab lifted the mountain of demonopolization, a very hard task those days, and saved the telecom industry. So my salutation to you, Chaudhary Sahab. May you live 100 years in service of the telecom industry and in service of Mother India. Friends, today as CTMS is being reborn, it's our duty to remember and recognize the contribution of other pioneers in the sector. With immense admiration and gratitude, I would like to recall the names of Sri Vittal, Sam Pitroda, Jagdish Seth, M.B. Atreya, Dr. N. Seshagiri, Sunil Mittal, the entrepreneur Sunil Mittal, Dhirubhai Ambani and his sons Anil Ambani, Mukesh Ambani, and many, many others. I must confess that I played a very, very small role in the telecom revolution when I was working with our late Prime Minister, Shraddheya Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. My contribution was what in the Ramayana is known as the squirrel's contribution. The squirrel that contributed its little might, its little effort in the construction of the Ram Setu. I was in the PMO and coordinated the activities of the IT task force in 1998 and subsequently the telecom task force 1999. The contribution of these two reports is well known, well recognized, especially the 1999 new telecom policy. It proved to be a game changer. It demonopolized the telecom sector, promoted private sector participation, or rather opened up further. Most importantly, in a very bold move, it facilitated the transition from fixed license fee to revenue share model and thereby saved the industry. In all this, I must admit today and recognize today the immense guidance I received from Hanuman Chaudhary Sahab. He was the managing director and chairman of VSNL those days, and sitting on the top floor of VSNL building, the iconic VSNL building in Bombay. And whenever I went there, it was such a great learning experience. Of course, he would share his knowledge about telecom, but Hanuman Chaudhary Sahab is a man of many interests. So I learned a lot from him. Thank you very much, Chaudhary Sahab. Friends, all this change in the telecom sector, which Sharma ji mentioned in his inaugural address, could not have been possible without political support at the highest level. Beginning with Rajiv Gandhi, subsequently P.V. Narasimha Rao, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, with whom I worked closely. And I remember Vajpayee ji redefined IT as India's tomorrow. IT as India's tomorrow. And he said, I quote, India cannot become an IT superpower unless we rapidly expand and modernize our telecom infrastructure to match the best in the world. And it has indeed happened now. He also showed necessary political will to end the deadlock in the sector. The government removed obstacles in the path of stalled investments, both domestic and foreign. More importantly, he used to always stress that the benefits of IT should not remain confined to the well-off and English-educated urban classes. I remember those days, one pioneer of the telecom industry in India, Dhirubhai Ambani, he changed the famous slogan, Roti Kapda or Makan, to Roti Kapda, Makan and Mobile. And he said that the mobile call should be cheaper than the postcard. In fact, today, postcard has altogether disappeared, but mobile calls have become not just cheaper, but in fact, almost zero. So friends, what we have achieved today is not, connectivity was a challenge those days, but today we have achieved hyperconnectivity. I must, however, recall with some regret that the report of yet another task force did not get the necessary support. Of course, our government departed in 2004, and the sector of hardware and electronics has not received the same attention and support that software received. As a result, we have to regrettably admit that we have continued to remain dependent on imports of electronics and hardware goods to such an extent that today our import bill on electronics is close to the import bill on hydrocarbons, that's oil, which is truly alarming. In contrast, our neighbor China focused a lot on the hardware industry and became a supplier of high quality hardware equipment, including smartphones, all over the world. We have a lot to learn from our neighbor China. Friends, as CTMS is being revived, it's time to look to the future. I said we have achieved connectivity, we have achieved computation, but there is one more C that needs to be our priority, and that is co-prosperity. Here I have very briefly 5 thoughts to share. First, the pace of application of the digital revolution, that is in artificial intelligence, IoT, blockchain, etc., the application of these tools to large sections of our economy is still very slow. Agriculture, MSMEs, the informal sector, even education and healthcare, focusing on the common people, there is a lot to be done. And therefore, there should be no complacency at all that we have done. Of course, what we have done is very impressive and we should be proud of it, but we should not be complacent. Second, the goal of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, which was mentioned earlier by Ramchandranji, equitably and in a very fair manner, reach. Definitely, our society today is growing more unequal than ever before, and this should be a matter of concern. And I believe that the telecom and digital reduce it. What is required is policy. What is required is political priority and industry priority. Second, the task of reaching the fruits of digital revolution in Indian languages is as relevant as ever, although some progress has indeed been made. Because unless common people receive these tools in their own languages, they will not benefit equitably. Third, Atmanirbhar Bharat, extremely important. We have achieved Atmanirbharta, self-reliance in many fields, yet, as I mentioned earlier, in some critical areas of infrastructure, equipment devices, we are far from being Atmanirbhar. And this requires, therefore, a very strong focus on indigenous R&D. Our aim, friends, should be people in other developing countries. What the So thank you, friends. It's a great honor to be at the relaunch function of CTMS. Mohan Raju Saab, on your young shoulders, you have taken a big responsibility, but with Chaudhary Saab still there to guide you and guide all of us, I'm sure that CTMS will play the same role in future as it did in the past. Thank you all very much. Jai Hind.
Namaskar. Very good.
Thank you very much, sir. Our sincere gratitude to you, sir, for gracing the occasion with your presence and kind words and highlighting some key aspects of the current scenarios prevalent. Thank you so much, sir.
Very
We now welcome our next distinguished speaker, Dr. Shailendra Kumar Hajela, Founding Chairman, ITU APT Foundation, India. Dr. Hajela has served the Indian Telecom Administration for over 33 years and contributed to development of telecom technology policy, standardization, and induction of new technologies, including rural telecommunication, digital mobile technology, and computerized information of network management system. Dr. Hajela initiated the establishment of South Asian Telecom Regulators Council as the institutional mechanism for harmonizing regulatory policies at the sub-regional level and coordinated with APT to ensure its sustained functioning under its auspices. Dr. Hajela has been consultant to UNDP, UNESCAP, ITU, APT, WB, ADB, Government of India, and private sector industry. Respected sir, please welcome. We would like to hear your words on this occasion.
Thank you very much. And in fact, I am privileged and feel very greatly honored to have been invited to this distinguished gathering of eminent speakers. I have known Dr. Chaudhary right from the day I joined the telecom department in November '59. During my training period, I was posted to Bombay to learn about cable construction. And every truck I found there had the slogan, "Dial before you dig." I thought, who is this guy who can be giving such a big slogan? And then I was introduced to him. And of course, he was the divisional engineer in charge. And he told me that so many faults occur because the roads are dug and our telephone cables get damaged. So this slogan became so popular that anybody who saw before even laying a pipeline to his house would dial a number which he had given for this purpose before he dug. So everybody was aware. So first thing was he is a stalwart in creating awareness in people. Coming now to this, when the rural telecom started, the C.Rex came. Before that, he got even the Max 2 and Max 3 from ITI. He refurbished them if they were not passing the acceptance testing. The biggest thing was that he created kind of a movement in the villages in Andhra Pradesh. He was the chief of the Andhra Pradesh Telecom Circle at the time, that this is for people. They are the beneficiaries. So all Gram Panchayats, whereas other states were struggling to acquire lands for setting up these exchanges, Andhra Pradesh was an example to India of donations from the Gram Panchayats for setting up the rural automatic exchanges. It's such a great thing, the awareness in the people, the feeling of participation. And there's a very old management principle. You can take a decision, but it will not get implemented unless people accept it emotionally. And here was the emotional acceptance that he created, something which was very new. He came out with the grocers' telephones. In fact, the Director General, the DG's office in Delhi said it was against the policy, against the DG, against the rules of providing telecommunication. You cannot give it. You can give it to an extra departmental post office, but not to private sector. And lo and behold, when Petroda came, this became the policy. STD from every village. Why not? But who was the pioneer? It was Dr. T.H. Chaudhary. I mean, whatever we say about him, it will not be completely describing him. He is far beyond our adulation. The other thing which I noticed as a young assistant divisional engineer was his writings in Bhuvan's journal. He is a prolific writer, as all of you know. And he would write, he will bring us closer to our roots by his writings in the Bhuvan's journal. And from then on, I started thinking about ethics, the effect of religion on our lives, on our society. And when we enter into the, or rather, fourth revolution has already started, fourth industrial revolution, so to say, and artificial intelligence, 5G, 6G, and all these are enablers for that revolution to take place. What's going to have intelligence incorporation in various systems, and where is it going to lead us to? So I started with his blessings, the ethics of AI. We have, when I talked on the subject in 2015 in a meeting when Malcolm Johnson was here, Amity University, at Amity University meeting of the academicians. And Mr. Selvamurthy was also there, who was at that time the scientific advisor to Defense Minister. And he said, Ajela, you want to talk about providing a conscience in a robot? I said, absolutely. We have a conscience. All religions talk about sensitivity of others, empathy, compassion, and what have you. And this is where the difficulty arises. If you perhaps would recall, in Asilomar in 2015, there was a big conference in which Stephen Hawking was alive at that time. Elon Musk had also gone. So had so many others, the leaders of the American technology space. And all of them said that there must be some regulation. But of course, you cannot put regulation. It's like putting cart before the horse. That is, let the technology develop, then we will think about it. Then in 2017 came the, with this Syrian war and Iraq war and all, where the Americans had already started using the robotic soldiers. The question came about the Geneva Convention. Can a robotic soldier kill a human, and who will be punished? Or whether a man face to face with a robot, man can fire in self-defense, will robot be allowed to do it? So there's a project, if you are aware, there was a project of the International Red Cross Society of Geneva, which was given to IIT Delhi. And that was how to deal with the situation. And eventually we came to a conclusion that there has to be a man in the loop when the battle is between a man and a robot. Obviously, therefore, the question is then of ethics. The man who is the commander, who would have otherwise also commanded the army man to kill or not to kill, will come in here also. He will have a role. So I started working on this subject of ethics of AI. And I had proposed, in fact, we had held a international colloquium on artificial intelligence in which Dr. R.S. Sharma, he was kind enough to give the inaugural address, if you would recall, in 2019 at the India International Center in Delhi. It was very well attended. And we came to certain recommendations, and one of them was the India should take lead in developing a conscience box equivalent, which will be under a UN convention agreement we put in every robotic and autonomous device so that it behaves or it regulates itself or its behavior in a manner which is ethical according to humans. So I hope I will be successful one of these days, because the colloquium was a success. The recommendations were accepted by everybody who was present and even the ITU. And ITU started working on ethics in 2019. I was invited to Geneva to give an inaugural address on this subject. And the IEEE is also working on the new P series on ethics of AI. So the AI goes far beyond what we think that it is very helpful. Alexa, Siri, the children ask Alexa to play some song and they sing and we feel very happy about it. But that is not all. You have to see both sides. And therefore, technology should be for the good of humans, for the benefit of humans, to improve the quality of life of humans, but not substitute humans, not take over humans. That is the fear, which was expressed even by Elon Musk. So here I have a few things. We talk about pursuit of science. We talk about pursuit of peace or harmony or spirituality. Now, we have a combination of both in Dr. T.H. Chaudhary. He is as good in writing in the Bhuvan's journal, as personally shows there, about his knowledge of the religion and the Sanskrit sloka that he narrated when we began. But at the same time, like Stephen Hawking, he's trying to also find the truth of everything. So do the spirituality and technology converge at one point? That would be the greatest part. And there the ethics would play a big role in technology itself. I would tell you something which I learned when I was a student of physics in my bachelor's course. I was doing the gold-leaf electroscope experiment, where you have a bell jar, you have vacuum in it, and you have 4 quadrants plated with gold. You insert a small oil vapor and increase the charge to 8 kilovolts, 10 kilovolts, 12 kilovolts. And then you find that there are drops which have condensed on those 4 quadrants of the gold-plated electrolyte. And Einstein wrote in his book, Mystique of Universe, he could never count them as equal. There was always a difference between the number of drops from one quadrant to another. And he said, this is something which he cannot deal with. It is the mystique of nature. So imagine we are creations of the nature. And our creations are these artifacts, the robots or the autonomous systems, what have you. And therefore, we should not create a situation we cannot teammates. It will be a heterogeneous society in which we are having somebody, maybe a speaker with us who is a robot. But then he should follow the norms of human ethics. And therefore, this box that I have talked about, or a chip, which can be regulated from within or from outside, is something which is one of the suggestions, one of the options that I have been talking about. And maybe when I get an opportunity, I will write on this subject a detailed paper in the CMT as one of these new issues that will come after Relaunch. And Mr. Dr. Chaudhary has already asked me, Likho, take the pen in your hand, but I have been writing because I have been speaking at so many, and I have to prepare myself very well. One thing that frightens me, Dr. Chaudhary, Dr. Sharma, Sudhendu, and our Ramchandran, in America, I found when I saw the statistics, as technology advances, the wealth concentrates in the hands of few. There are 7 people in America who control more than 70% of the wealth. Is technology going to create? We talk of digital divide, we talk of broadband internet divide, we talk of inclusivity, but where is the economics in this inclusivity? The poorest and the wealthiest, the gap is increasing and increasing and increasing, even in India. Mobile telephone, yeah, it has empowered, but what is empowerment? It is fragmenting even a family. My granddaughters, they're happy with their phones. When I say Sana or Nea, Varenya, they just look at me, oh no, Nana, I must read this fully, I must see this fully. See, they are not interested. Is society fragmenting with technology? Sir, when you talk of enrichment, you talk also of ethics, social behavior, the impact on human psychology, the impact on human wealth distribution. So this is also the message I wanted to convey. And it's so good of Dr. T.H. Chaudhary. And I'm so happy, as Ramchandran said, I was also one of them who was looking for the issue of CMTS. I hope Dr. Mohan Raj will keep up the tradition. God bless you all, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your kind words on this occasion and touching upon convergence of technology, spirituality, social behavior, ethics, to name few. So thank you very much for your inspiring words.
Welcome.
We now welcome our next distinguished speaker, Dr. N. Bhaskar Rao, the founder chairman, Center for Media Studies, a pioneer of social research in India and an eminent mass communication expert with 40 years of distinguished background. Dr. N. Bhaskar Rao is founder chairman, well-known and prestigious independent Center for Media Studies, CMS. Dr. Bhaskar Rao is an acknowledged expert in public opinion, feedback, and market research methodology. Dr. Rao was the Chief Program Coordinator of Vision 2020 Andhra Pradesh program. By virtue of his several impactful initiatives, Dr. Rao held senior advisory position with the government and international agencies. Respected sir, please welcome. We would like to hear your kind words on this occasion.
Bhaskar Rao garu, you have to unmute.
Very good.
Sharad, can we unmute him from our side?
No, sir, we can only request him to unmute himself and
Okay.
to do it himself.
1 second. Let me call him then. 1 second.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, Bhaskar Rao garu.
We can hear you.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm in a place far, far away in a village in Andhra Pradesh where Dr. Hanuman Chaudhary is the one who put this village. He came 1962 to talk to the village leaders why they should go for a telephone. And now I am demonstrating the impact of what he has done at that time in 1962. So the 70 years, I think the spirit of whatever we have been talking about, the CTMS, ITC and all that, one has to understand the context, the process, the pursuit of this person who has created 4 generations. He is a 4 generations telecom man in India today. We should feel proud of him. And I would like to recall, having been a close observer, a keen observer, analyst of the telecom sector over these years, over these decades, that his has been not a job, but a mission, which he has later converted into a movement. So many people now speaking, hearing Dr. Hajela, Dr. Ramchandran, Dr. Sharma, and so many of them reminds the kind of wealth, outlook towards the technology itself that he has done. He is a multifaceted visionary, undoubtedly an eternal reformist and a nationalist to the core. And I can't, miss to mention Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, to thank him, that it is because of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's vision that we have Dr. Hanuman Chaudhary, 70 years contribution to the telecom sector. It was he who ensured that Dr. Chaudhary joins the sector. I don't know how many of you know about it. I don't want to go into that. But the fact is that he remained a rebel reformist, a rationalist, a crusader. He's a humanist with human values, with a rational, never lost his moorings to the ground, to the grassroots. And coming from a family of reformists, eminent reformists in Andhra Pradesh, he has proved himself what a dedicated person with a reformist background and consistency can demonstrate. And he showed that. And that's what we are all enjoying today in the country, is a proof that he has, as a crusader, what he has done. It's more than a campaign, what he has been doing as a visionary. And he stood all through against the monopolies, centralization, against the bureaucracy, against the controls. He reminds me, in the telecom sector, what Rajaji was in politics. The kind of role that Dr. Chaudhary has been in terms of the approach and the outlook of the people at large is that kind of what Rajaji did to the leaders of that generation. And Chaudhary has been doing all through these 4 generations that I've been talking about. You know, he has never forgotten the technologies for society and the culture and communication, the dimension that which he has ensured. That's how this is not just the 33 years of CTMS, much longer, the 40 years before that the services of Dr. Chaudhary, the spirit, that's what I call, is far more significant, far more important for any such pursuit to be carried forward. Now, I'm very happy that this movement is being taken forward with much vigor, eminent people coming in on board. And I'm sure that the task before us, I think that Chaudhary and Ramchandran and others have very eminently, very eloquently and very appropriately has referred to the task before all of us. Some of the tasks that has been in terms of equity, justice and all that. Of course, what Vajela has referred just now, in America, the 7 people control and the kind of inequalities with technology. I think this is the one task that we can't really ignore. We need to take on. I'm sure that we will be able to find solutions to that with the new technologies all around. Now, we have the new generation of people in this country are such a wonderful, they have a far more than the previous generations. And I'm sure with the guidance available of Dr. Chaudhary and Dr. Sharma and Hajela and Ramchandran and people of that eminence, I'm sure we will be able to catch up with the China and demonstrate to China that we can do far more in the years ahead, and we can catch up wherever we have missed. And I think the emotionalism is absolutely necessary to get the best of the technology. And the culture and communication, the society angle that Dr. Chaudhary has ensured all through his writings. And I said he's a multifaceted. He's not just a technologist. He's not just a telecom man. He has many other areas where he has demonstrated his visionary role and contribution has been there for everybody to see all across the country. There's a six different languages. Wherever he has worked, he has created a new outlook there with the new slogans like the Sabke Saath type of things, which he has started from the very beginning. Talking to people has been his passion. And that is how he has inspired so many people, so many young people, that today we are able to have this kind of strength is because of the visionary spirit of Dr. Hanuman Chaudhary. And I'm very proud that I know him for 60 years. And I've seen his work at grassroots level as well as at the policy level in New Delhi, being there as a part of that. So I would like to compliment Chaudhary, and I would like to also compliment Mohan Raj for taking on this task. And we all stand by him to take this forward, to see that we regain what we lost, India's top position in the global scenario. And I have no doubt that we'll bounce back in much faster the way we are going in the last few years, that we are in that path. And I would wish this CTMS takes on that role. And I am reminded of a role that in my magazine in Madras, which has really sensitized so many leaders of this country. And I think the CTMS is going to do that kind of role in going much beyond the hardcore technological issues to do with culture and society. Issues as well need to be brought in, as Mr. Chaudhary, as Dr. Chaudhary has eminently ensured all across, all through his, whatever he has done. He has never forgotten that roots and that heritage of this country. And we all need to be proud of it, and we need to integrate this new thought. And I'm sure CTMS and Mohan Raj and his team will carry it forward. And I wish them the best of luck and all my support to them. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words of inspiration, and very nicely put, to our roots and to our heritage. Thank you so much, sir. We now welcome our distinguished speaker, Dr. Jaiprakash Narayan, founder of the Foundation for Democratic Reforms. Dr. Narayan served as an IAS officer for 16 years and held many important positions in the government of South Indian state of Andhra Pradesh. With his deep insights of the governance process, he has founded the Foundation for Democratic Reforms and Lok Satta, a leading civil society initiative for government reforms. He served as a member of the National Advisory Council, Second Administrative Reforms, and Vigilance Advisory Council. Inspector Sir, please welcome. We would like to hear your words of inspiration for us.
Thank you. Friends, I deem it an honor to be with all of you on this wonderful day to celebrate success. Typically in India, when we all meet, we have many complaints, a litany of complaints and tales of woe and sorrow. This is a happy occasion, an occasion marking a remarkable triumph of a vision translated into reality. First, let me congratulate Mr. Mohan Raju and his team on this very happy occasion of relaunch of the CTMS. Now, 33 years ago when CTMS was launched, those were dark days. Very despairing days in many ways. And in these 3 decades, this sector world over, and in particular in India, has actually seen revolution. We often use the word revolution somewhat loosely. But here in this context, the word revolution is very apt. We all remember what happened in those days. The young people participating today may not remember because they have seen wonderful things right from the beginning. But just so we get a sense of what it was and what is the remarkable transformation that this exceptional team, with Sri T.H. Chaudhary as the fulcrum and the pioneer, has accomplished. Let me mention a few things. Dr. Bhaskar Rao just now talked about what happened in his village. You know, Margaret Mead said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, that's the only thing that ever did. It is this group of exceptional citizens, pioneered by Dr. T.H. Chaudhary, with visionary leaders. We often blame politicians and politics, but if the right incentive is given, right advice is given, they can be transformational agents. In this case, telecom sector, across the parties, over the years, a remarkable change has been brought about by political vision. Technocrats, civil servants dedicated to change, but not status quo. Policymakers, above all, entrepreneurs who actually responded to the incentives created and therefore transformed the sector. Now, what made Dr. T.H. Chaudhary the center of this? What are the unique qualities? Those are the things I want to celebrate. First, he obviously has technical excellence, but he combined that with intellectual integrity. Just because he joined the telecom sector and the government-owned companies, he never believed that that was the answer to India's problems. He had the courage and integrity to fight relentlessly against the monopoly of the government sector. And there was a tireless pursuit of public good. He didn't take telecom sector as merely a job or merely post-retirement give some lectures based on his experience, but there is a relentless quest for improvement and to promote public good. And there is this undying passion for national greatness that continues even at this age now. And what is remarkable about him, I have seen almost nobody of that kind in the past 40, 50 years of my interactions with a variety of people across the country, the inexhaustible appetite for knowledge. At 90, I can't see the table at which he is sitting, but I'm absolutely certain he has a notebook there with a pen scribbling away. Wherever he is in a gathering, yes, there's a pen there. Wherever he is in a gathering, he continuously notes, writes, studies, and constantly updates himself, a remarkable thirst for knowledge. His work ethic, even at this age, his appetite for learning and his passion, they really are a source of inspiration for many of us, a generation or two younger. And he has the remarkable Indian quality of sthita prajnatva. He does not accept temporary adversity. When the path is chosen, when the goal is clear, no matter how difficult the hurdles are, we must cross them. We must figure out a way of doing that. The constant innovation and never say die spirit. Thank you, Dr. Chaudhary Garu. These are the qualities that you and many across the country who worked with you over the past 3 decades that really helped transform this sector. Now, my knowledge of telecom sector or technology is minimal. I'm reminded of Socrates. 2,300 years ago, in one of the interactions that Socrates was having with his disciples, one of his disciples, long-standing disciple of his, he stood up and said, "Master, for 20 years I listened to you with great attention, listened to you and my other colleagues interacting, but I never opened my mouth or uttered a word. Was it right or was it wrong?" Socrates, the great philosopher, said something profound and universal and eternal. He said, if you are a wise man, then you are a fool. If you are a fool, then you are a wise man. It took me a bit of time to decipher the meaning. What Socrates said was, if you are a wise man whose words and knowledge have application to other people's lives, they can transform the lives of those around you. You are a fool in having concealed your wisdom. But if you are a fool anyway, You are a wise man in having concealed your ignorance. Dr. Chaudhary is a wise man who spread that wisdom, those ideas, and helped transform our country. Let me try and say minimal things so that I conceal my ignorance. Let me recount a couple of personal experiences. All of us have them, but for the younger people, it will be useful to just remind ourselves once in a while. I remember meeting a non-resident Indian investor in India in 1990. The late N.T. Ramarao, he inspired many people across the world to come and invest in India. Well before the economic reform, he had that vision. Some of them were inspired by him and came. I remember the tales of woe that he described to me. His manufacturing facility was somewhere in Adilabad district. His office and marketing were in Hyderabad. The greatest challenge he was facing was how to communicate to his team, to his production team. He told me in graphic detail how every means of communication was a failure, from telephone to everything else. And somebody had to go with a letter or a message and travel. In those days, even transport was not very good. It takes 2 or 3 days to communicate and then come back with the feedback. And I was feeling so sorry for that entrepreneur and for our country. That makes it so hard for the people who take enormous risks to make some productivity possible. Around the same time, I came to Hyderabad on official posting, and I asked for a personal telephone. I remember I paid 8,000 rupees under what was called Own Your Telephone Scheme, OYT. In those days, the per capita income of India was about 8,000 rupees. Our total GDP in rupees was about 6 trillion rupees. Our population was about 87 crores at that time. So per capita income was about 8,000 or a little under that. And I had to wait for 3 years because my residence was in the Saifabad area, which was a little harder, I suppose, than others. Even after paying that princely sum in those days, wait for 2 or 3 years. And of course, even after getting a telephone, the travails we all underwent, the frequent repairs and the difficulties we endured, we all know. Then I remember vividly my official visit to London in 1995. I had a series of back-to-back meetings in central London where parking was very difficult. I had a chauffeur, a chap called Salim from Lebanon. The Salim told me, "Sir, don't worry about it. Once your meeting is over, just call me from my landline. This is my mobile telephone number. And I'll park somewhere in the neighborhood. I'll come instantly within 2 minutes." And without any anxiety, I could go to the next meeting because the gap between the 2 meetings was very short. I was filled both with wonder and envy. Wonder that a society could make life so convenient, so comfortable, that a chauffeur has a mobile telephone and you could summon the car at will, irrespective of the local parking difficulties. And of course, I was filled with envy because we all knew what conditions were in India at that time. I was wondering when in our country, ordinary folks, service providers, everybody will get a telephone. I also remember in 1996, for the first time, I heard the expression email. When I wrote a discussion paper about India and its future, as a prelude to my leaving government to build a reform movement, many friends across the world asked me to send copies. I said, no problem, I'll mail them. I'll make copies and mail them. They said, no, send an email. I didn't know what an email was, honestly, at that time. I went to Software Technology Park, and the director there, he put that in those days, floppy or whatever, into some slot and pressed a button. He said, it is gone. I said, where has it gone? He said, to all the people, the addresses are given, to all of them, it is gone. Then, or even now, I always am filled with wonder that there could be that kind of a communication, that ease of communication across the world at zero cost, without any transmission loss. And now, if in 1989 CTMS was formed, within about 22 years, a remarkable transformation did indeed take place. And an exceptional group of people, undaunted by the status quo, the prevailing norms of license, permit, charge, and monopoly, unaffected by the naysayers, They thought, they dreamt, and they brought about the change. And thank you, all of you. Now, this change is not only a remarkable change in terms of communication. It's obvious that we now have 220 million telephones, that Indians are now addicted to telephones, as Mr. Hajela is saying. Now, in a family of 4, each of them is busy with a mobile phone, and then you can't even talk to each other. But that apart, it has given the nation exceptional level of confidence in a country where we are so addicted to failure, habituated to failure, that this is the way things are in India. This sector, what it brought about is transformational, not only in terms of technology and communication, in terms of the mindset and attitudes and beliefs that we can accomplish. And in the past 25, 30 years, whenever I meet with people, people always say, can corruption end? I always give them an example of a telephone. How tough it was to get a telephone, how corrupt it was in the monopoly and scarcity situation. And now everybody has a telephone. Is the one person who paid a bribe for a telephone. Of course, there was corruption in 2G spectrum, but even that, the moment we changed the practice and brought in the same principle of competition. In fact, it was my privilege to go to the Supreme Court at the time and fight for the cancellation of the 2G licenses and ask for competitive bidding. Once that's introduced, we can say with complete certainty, there's no corruption even in spectrum allocation or other infrastructural things. So it has proved that it's not about morality. It's not about Indian DNA being bad in terms of efficiency in delivery or in terms of corruption. It's about the way we do things. That is the true tribute. Dr. Hanuman Chaudhary and his colleagues, they not only brought about a technological transformation and a communication revolution, but they've actually brought about a governance revolution by example, not merely by precept. And to me, that is the most important lesson. That technology and transparency, competition and choice can and do transform our country, just as they've transformed or are transforming our world. That if you end the license permit quota Raj, if you create altered incentives in order to encourage a different kind of behavior, it will generate automatically better outcomes. It's not about morality. It's not about self-flagellation. It's about institutions and practices and incentives. And he taught us another thing. Public sector versus private sector, this unending, futile, silly, intellectually moronic debate in the country. Even today, the default option of many people who are fed on a lot of confused ideas for decades is public sector is noble, private sector is bad. Truth be told, I myself entered government with those silly notions because that was the prevailing norm. But life taught us, and taught people like Dr. Hanuman Chaudhary much earlier than many of us, but even much younger than him, even I realized within a few years in government that public sector in India is private sector of those in public office. It has nothing to do with the people of the country in most cases. Therefore, wherever possible, wherever a natural monopoly is not necessary in rule of law, there's a natural monopoly. You cannot give to Gundas rule of law. But in a variety of areas, wherever competition, choice, multiple players can play a role, private sector and public sector distinction is nonsensical. You have given us superb demonstration of how rational policy, sensible execution, competition and choice will deliver even in a country which has been singularly unfortunate in getting substandard delivery for decades of our existence as an independent republic. And thank you for that. And now, as many people said, application, information per se, communication per se are good up to a point, but they don't really change lives. Einstein said once, 20th century is characterized by perfection of means and confusion of ends. And today, this confusion of ends is all too evident in information and communication revolution in the world. The way the communication is often used for inane things, for spreading hatred or violence, for irrational, unscientific ideas, we all see. So we have to see the end product is the right one. That's not the problem of technology. It's the problem of policy in respect of other areas. If Dr. Hanuman Chaudhary always believed, if the fruits of technology do not go to the ordinary people and give them an opportunity, equality of opportunity, irrespective of circumstances of birth, all this ultimately does not make a difference to society and our country. In the field of education, where the demand is very strong, the poorest people are spending extraordinary sums, sacrificing enormous sums disproportionate to their income to give their children a head start. Educational outcomes are appallingly bad. We are one of the worst in the world. For no fault of the children or parents or even the government. Government is spending a lot of money, contrary to popular perception. In the state of Andhra Pradesh, the state government is spending 91,000 rupees per child per year in a school. You can't ask for more. More is not needed in terms of money. We require to harness technology to transfer some part of the knowledge. Obviously, teacher is a vital instrument in education. But unless the conceptual clarity is provided through technological means, not merely depending on the multitude of teachers, that's necessary, we have trained them, but 10% of it, this transfer of conceptual understanding, not rote learning or mass copying, or an intelligent examination system that actually examines the conceptual understanding and application of knowledge and critical thinking, and with integrity, where mass copying has now become rampant in many parts of the country. Again, technology has a profound role to play. Healthcare, Dr. Sharma is now with the National Health Authority, I understand. Now, unless you can migrate the record, health records can be migrated. It's not the sole thing, there are many things to be done in the healthcare system. I'm working on that considerably these days. But that's an important element, the health records. Digitization and easy transfer of records, subject to privacy and the patient's consent. You will not improve the healthcare. Each time it becomes de novo. Or rule of law. On paper, we have rule of law, but in reality, we all know what's happening. There are many things in terms of technology that can transform rule of law, apart from institutions and laws and practices. Agriculture. Our agriculture sector is benighted. Even today, about 69% of people are rural. About 50% of the people depend on agriculture even today, which only gives 15% of the GDP. Unless technology is an enabler and transformative, and unless we apply technology in innovative ways, not only to give incomes, but to make lives better for the rural population and to allow a very easy in situ urbanization, not distant migration to great cities of impoverished people without skills, but in situ urbanization with urban amenities available locally, and they become engines of growth, with the distance between the rural and urban India being reduced both physically and technologically and economically. India has no future. Our urban migration is very, very small, notwithstanding our claims. 69% rural even today. We have to radically transform the way they are. And of course, urban management and many other areas. And I hope CTMS will focus on many of these areas and much more apart from technology. You're good at it. What can be done to create a framework in which this can actually generate the right kind of funds? Because we now have the platform. We now have the mobile phones. We know 1,200 million people have 1,200 million mobile phones. Are there more than the, almost equal to the number of the people. About 90% of the people have mobile phones. So can we use the platform, the wonderful work done already, to actually transform lives, because we have the resources, we have the technology. From the past experience, we've learned what works and what does not. There's tremendous global best practices available. We have to only apply this knowledge. And once again, before concluding, thank you, Dr. Chaudhary Garu, giving us optimism, a sense of the future, that this country can be transformed. There is no reason to yield to cynicism and despair. Economist, the latest edition, talked about the next decade being India's decade. I still remember vividly on the 4th of May, 1991, a 28-page write-up on India, Indian economy. I made hundreds of copies and circulated. In those days, no emails, nothing. So I circulated to friends and influential people, hopefully thinking that that would influence their thinking. It made an exceptionally insightful and sorrowful reading. The travails of Indian economy because of bad policy, bad ideas. 30 years later, if we're able to say, even if India did not fulfill her potential fully, we are now on course, and the next decade could well be India's decade, is largely because, at least in some areas, we have changed the ideas, we have applied sensible principles and best practices, we have transformed, we showed what is possible. And foremost among them is the sector in which Dr. Chaudhary and his team and many other people across the country work. And I'm sure we learn from this success in the coming 3 decades and transform India, because I truly believe, without being jingoistic, that India has the potential, if only we improve our education and productivity, our healthcare, and if only we improve our governance and rule of law and urban management and agriculture, we can be a leading player in the world, giving every single child of this country an opportunity to fulfill her true potential irrespective of birth. And pain will be eliminated, avoidable suffering will be eliminated. And that's the true meaning of happiness. I don't know of any other greatness apart from eliminating avoidable suffering and fulfilling human potential. And thank you for showing us the way. And I hope in the next 2.0, CTMS will play a pivotal role, just as it played such a critical role in the first phase in transforming India. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words on this occasion and bringing about, highlighting how to transform India, and we look forward to the optimism that's there. Thank you so much. Next, we have a key message from N. Vittal, Padma Bhushan Awardee. Going forward, Sri N. Vittal, IS retired, the Secretary to DOT specially selected by Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao to effect fundamental changes in telecom regime in India as part of his economic liberalization. Sri Vittal greatly valued, appreciated, and facilitated Dr. Chaudhary's work as primary functionary of CTMS. Key message from I'm delighted that Center for Telecom Management and Studies, CTM, that was founded by the initiative of Sri T. Hanuman Chaudhary in early 1989, when he was still with the Government of India as Chairman and Managing Director of Vides Sanchar Nigam, BSNL, to wage public campaigns for change in the monopoly regimes in the telecom sector in India. It's getting reactivated to inform and influence public policies in the light of quantum developments in information technology and transformation of telecoms as infrastructure for the information societies into which mankind is fast evolving. The decades-long pioneering public works that the CTMS under the leadership of Dr. Chaudhary has done is commendable. I have been intimately aware of his work and felt happy that I found in him a kindred soul to collaborate with me in my efforts as DOT Secretary to formulate and launch the first national telecom policy in 1994. Later, we worked together along with Dr. N. Sheshgiri, Professor P.V. Indrisen, and Hans Sri Sudhindra Kulkarni in the Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's National Task Force on IT and Software to remove the remnant deficiencies and distortions in the implementation of NTP 94 with the task force revolutionary recommendations, which has led to the formulation of the National Telecom Policy, NTP 99. It has been a pleasure for me to watch and promote the work of Dr. Chaudhary and the CTMS for depolicification, the word preferred by Chaudhary, to privatization of telecoms and IT. Recent and ongoing developments like digitalization, informatization, and every work of every sort becoming possible from any place, yet any time by everybody, to require intellectuals and professionals to come together in the reinvented reinvigorated city step. I hope Dr. Chaudhary will continue to be the inspiration and counsel to the CTMS too. I would like to refer to it. I wish God speed to all of you and glory to Bharat as Jagat Guru for democratizer out of true and worthy knowledge through ICT. Next, on this special occasion, we would love to call upon Dr. T.H. Chaudhary, founder of CTMS, for the keynote address. To begin with, Dr. Chaudhary initiated the restructuring of the Department of Telecom, first by its separation from the post and constituting the operations into corporations. He had canvassed these reforms among members of parliament, ministers of the state governments. He was the first and founding chairman and managing director of VSNL, India's International Telecommunication Corporation. He was a member of the Prime Minister's National Task Force for Information Technology, NTFIT. He founded the Center for Telecommunication Management and Studies, CTMS, in 1989, and not-profit society to wage the intellectual campaign for demonopolization and competition in the Indian telecoms. He wrote the draft National Telecom Policy, NTP, as early as in 1989. The NTP of 1994 is more or less the same that he put forward in 1989. He has been running a monthly journal of CTMS from January 1992 till 2006. In the period 1989 to 1995, he traveled extensively to several cities in India, holding seminars, discussions, debates, and workshops, all to propagate the policy of restructuring Indian telecom and mobilize public opinion for changes, for corporations, privatization, independent regulation, and for FDI. He has drafted an alternative Indian telecom law in 1992 to replace the Indian Telegraph Act 1885 and submitted it as an alternative report of the Government of India's high-level committee, of which he was a member, to amend the Indian Telegraph Act. He drafted the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India TRAI bill, which has become the basis for the final TRAI Act. He has been responsible for the birth of the telecom manufacturing industry in the private sector and is considered the spiritual father of all the private telecom companies in India. Dr. Chaudhary has been invited as distinguished speaker at conferences around the world. He's presently a fellow of TCS and is a director on board of the SIFI Technologies Limited. Respected sir, please welcome. We look forward to hearing your kind words on this occasion. Thank you so much, sir.
Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram. Namaskar. Shri Ram because he was Dharma personified. Dharma and truth shall prevail. Whatever be the travails one has got to go through. I am indebted to all the speakers who have spoken so well of me, some of which I might not be deserving, but I am quite confident, I am quite clear in my conscience that I have given my best to the society through the telecommunications. All that would not have been possible without the help and encouragement of the Tata Consultancy Services, whose chief executive was Dr. Fakir Chand Kohli. Many a time, when I was despairing, he said, "Don't despair. Claibium masmagamaha parda na etat tvai upapadyate chodram hudaya dorbalyam tektva uttishta parantapa." That was the sloka in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that inspired me and was sustained by Dr. F.C. Kohli. Therefore, I first pay my obeisance to Dr. Kohli. Next, all my colleagues in the department. When I joined the Government of India in All India Radio, its motto was Sarvajana Hitaya, I'll tell you 1 second. Bahujana Hitaya, Bahujana Sukhaya. Bahujana Hitaya, for the good of the large number of people and for the comfort of the large number of people. When I switched over to the Department of Telecommunications, its motto was Aharnisham Seva Make. We are at your service day and night. And with these in the background and with the education that I had received, inspiration that I received in my high school and in the Laila College, Chennai, and from the principal, Colonel Paul, in the College of Engineering, Madras, I said, I must give my life to add to the sum total of happiness in the world through the department, through the profession that I have chosen. The first rebel started in 1967 when I was assistant chief engineer in the Department of Telecom. I went through all the histories, annual reports, etc., and what is happening. I found that the telecom charges were being increased again and again and again. Using those surpluses, we were sustaining the postal service. Immediately, I wrote a tract, Hidden Tax on Telephones. And with that, I went to Sri M.R. Masani, Minu Masani, the Swatantra Party leader and MP, and said, sir, this is the truth. Then he said, Chaudhary, what are you going to do with this? I am a government servant. If I publish, there may be consequences. Immediately he said, do you have any objection if I publish it in my name? It was published in the editorial page of the Hindustan Times in 1967 June. That was my first shot against monopoly, because the situation was apply, no reply. And as Jaiprakash has said, 8,000 rupees. Actually, it used to be 2,000 rupees, raised to 3,000, raised to 5,000, raised to 8,000, finally to 40,000 rupees for Tatkal telephones. That means we can't remove Garibi, but we will hatawa the Garibs. That was the situation in the department. I said the only solution is to peopleify the telecommunications. Remove it from government service as a monopoly. Let public savings come into this sector. That means it must become a corporation. So I had to cultivate the opinion within the department, of course. So many innovations, but cultivate the public opinion, that is the ministers and the members of parliament. From Bammananda Reddy, P.V. Narasimha Rao, Rajiv Gandhi, and Vajpayee, all these people, finally Mr. Godgill, he said, none of these people can help. That is at that time, one Mr. God. It is Rajiv Gandhi who is going to become the successor to Indira Gandhi. So I allow you to go with him everywhere in the country and go on breathing into his ears, saying this is wrong, we should do this and that. That gave me a great opportunity. So that is how I took a lot of risks within the department and outside the department. In fact, when I was the chairman and managing director of Vijay Sanchar Nigam, annual general body meeting, only 5 useless fellows from the department used to come. But I said in the afternoon, I invited all the international communication users to attend the AGM and the annual general body meeting, and to which I invited Arjun Singh, who was my minister also. I said, my department, my company is looting you. Arjun Singh said. Then he was asked, sir, Mr. Chaudhary, your employee is saying that you are looting. But he has presented facts I cannot deny. But government will have a different view. Mr. Chaudhary may put before you any number of facts, and he may plead for the best to be done. But government is different from Mr. Chaudhary, he said. He can go on doing whatever he wants. That was the freedom he gave. So anyway, finally, corporatization and the contribution of P.V. Narasimha Rao in 1994, Vitaly has referred to that one. Actually, I used to write to be included in the manifesto of every political party. From the 1978 onwards, I used to circulate to all the political parties. It was only the BJP in 1998 which accepted A to Z of whatever I written and put it in the manifesto. Immediately the government came, Advani sent for me and asked me so many, I won't tell that. Anyway, so you may do wonderful things, you may write wonderful things, unless you convince the political persons, it cannot be done in India at least. So now we have got a wonderful thing. I will not go through all. You know, in the 1980s, when I was the general manager in the telecommunications, Andhra Pradesh, the walls of the house that I occupied, it had two streets, on the north and on the west. I said, apply now, your grandson will require a telephone. Commute for pleasure only, communicate for work. So, and then to get a telephone into every village, I associated every MLA, every MP, etc., and then got it, made it a people's movement. I said, first I will develop Telangana, then I will develop Rayalaseema, then Andhra Pradesh. I brought all of them together, that is public telephone in every village, etc., And see, previously, public telephones used to be placed in the post office, extra departmental agent, who would work only for 2 hours. During that time, that fellow will say the telephone is not working because outside those hours, he gets a late fee. I said, why should I am spending so much money to work for 2 years and declare it is not working? Therefore, I put it in a grocer shop. And the first grocer was saying, sir, they will wait for a telephone call. They will look at my wife. They will look at my daughter. No, I don't want. Then I created a competition between the grocers. I want it, etc. So that's how it became a people's movement. Friends, today, as has already been told, 90% of our people have got telephones. Beggars have got telephones. In 1994, when the national telecom policy, first policy was enunciated, our per capita income was 10,000 rupees. The telephone revenue per year was 10,000 rupees. You can imagine, few people could afford telephones, one telephone for 100 people. Today, our per capita income is 1,35,000 rupees and per telephone revenue is 1,500 rupees. Therefore, everybody is able to afford. 1,500 rupees is 2 days, 3 days wages for an ordinary Mazdoor. So beggars have got telephones. So I said, हाथ में telephone, गाँव में internet. Realize, communicate for work, commute only for pleasure. The last 2 years have demonstrated. Children are taking their lessons on the telephone. People are sitting in their homes and doing work for companies in America. So that communicate for work has become the norm now. And commute only for embracing your dear heart, your dear friend, that's what is there. In such a situation, when the telephones are there everywhere, we want to become an information society. What is necessary is the cost should be least. So currently, I have taken up 2 issues to be resolved by the government, and yesterday I wrote a letter to the Prime Minister. I don't know what he has spoken. Number one, radio spectrum is absolutely necessary. Just as air and water are necessary for life to be sustained, radio spectrum is necessary so that there are signals everywhere all the time and from any person to any person. Now there is sunlight. We don't auction sunlight to produce electricity. Electricity is sold. Sunlight is a natural resource, an inexhaustible resource. You don't own sunlight, therefore you don't auction for the electricity producers. Radio spectrum is not created by government. Radio spectrum is created by the licensed telephone companies. How is the government morally justified in auctioning something which it does not produce and which it does not own? Just as like water and air are necessary for life to exist, spectrum should be available to the telephone companies and they are prepared to generate. What is necessary is regulating the use of the spectrum. There are roadways. Which way should people go? Go way, left, and come. Rules, police, traffic signals. That is regulation of the movement. And that costs. Therefore, what government is justified is only in taking the cost of regulation. The same frequency can be used again and again and again in the spatially separated cells or areas. So it is false propaganda to say that radio spectrum is a limited resource. It is an unlimited resource. As much is available to Maldives as to China and India, because it is created by you. And it can be used again and again by using computer intelligence. Therefore, I have written to the Prime Minister and I will be agitating that this auction means high cost. High cost will be passed on to the users. When you are wanting a digital society, an informatized society, communication should be as vitally, as spatially distributed as water and air. The second thing is, now there was a time when it was necessary to corporatize the telecommunication services of the Department of Telecommunications so that the competition is on a level ground. I agitated for the corporatization of the DOT's telephone services, and the great Vajpayee took the poison into his neck, just like Shiva has done when the communists and other people were saying that he is helping the private companies. I said the companies are dying. Whatever money they are paying, they are able to raise, they are paying their license fee up front. How can they put a network? What should be done? I said, sir, let there be a hen. Let it lay eggs. Let they turn out to be golden eggs. If there are 10 eggs, you take 1 egg or 2 eggs, and let 8 eggs be enjoyed by the layer itself. So what do you say? Migrate them from upfront license fee, which is crippling, which is killing the companies, to revenue sharing. And the communists and other people said, this man is preferring the capitalists, just like Lord Shiva has taken poison and put it in his neck. And ultimately Amrita came. Vajpayee took that advice and boldly like a statesman, he has migrated them from upfront license fee to revenue sharing. Of course, the department, because it is a deprived one, and it was the policy maker and the licensor, it went on creating lots and lots of obstacles, which had got to be cleaned out through subsequent actions and public awareness. That's what Center for Telecom Management and Studies has been doing. Many people were hurt, but here FC Kohli and the TCS stood by me. In fact, he wrote to me, don't spend a rupee from your pocket. This is a public work that you are doing it. The TCS is behind you. Even when the government officers told him, why are you supporting him when he is against the government? He said, that is none of your business. So I pay my respect and tribute to that great visionary who is responsible for India to become the #1 supplier of software services to the entire world. 600,000 people working for it, 150 countries with 75 nationalities, people working in that. That is the vision. Friends, what is second one? It was necessary to corporatize BSNL. Again, Vajpayee did it with the great foresight on the 2nd of October, 2000. It was something, a coup that we have done it. Are you able to hear me, I hope? Then corporatization was necessary, but it has outlived that. No public sector company can compete with a private company. So that is what has happened in the case of BSNL and MTNL. Because the ministers were not interested, they tried to make money by delaying the BSNL from purchasing the equipment that is required to introduce 2G, 3G, 4G. And today, when private companies are introducing 5G services, Government of India gives 40,000 crores to BSNL to introduce 4G to take a discarded service. A service which the private companies are wanting to quit at a cost of 40,000 rupees, the BSNL is to do. The BSNL has accumulated losses of 90,000 crores, MTNL of 40,000 crores. Just like Air India, when nobody was able to purchase just out of emotion, the Tatas have purchased it. But there are no buyers to BSNL because an encumbrance widow is never sued by any person. That is the situation in BSNL. Therefore, I have written to the Prime Minister, kindly free us from the burden of supporting this Humpty Dumpty, whom not all your horses, not all your cleverness can put together. So these are the two campaigns. That is, spectrum must be available like air and water for an information society. Digital India cannot be recognized, cannot be realized unless spectrum is free. There was another abomination. Spectrum was sold. Companies paid the money. But to use it, they have to pay spectrum usage charges. You sell the house, take the money, and if that man wants to live and use it, you have to pay rent. So fortunately, because of my consistent saying that this is immoral, if not illegal, they have removed that usage charge. But department now is rid of visionless engineers, and it is now having some people having vision. The department is writing to the TRAI, please reduce the reserve price for the 5G spectrum that is going to be auctioned. Previously, you used to say increase it, but now that the visionless engineers are not controlling the DOT, and public policy people with some moral ideas are there at the helm, they are saying, let us reduce the reserve charges. So friends, I'm grateful for all the nice things that people have said. I wish I deserve them because my principals, my teachers have told me that we should so live that we add to the sum total of happiness in the world. That's what Dharma says. And what shall I do? Dr. Ajala is a very important issue. We are having artificial engines, artificial intelligence, robots doing war, robots doing every work. But then if they replace men, what ethics shall they have? What morality should they have? What is right and wrong, can they decide or not? This is the issue which is troubling the IEEE, Institution of Electrical and Electronic Engineers Worldwide Organization, to whom I have given a paper saying the only ethics that is universal is Hindu ethics. Dharma. Vasudhaiva kutumbakam. Sarve santu niramayaha. All people. Sahanavavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai. Ma vidveshavahai. Don't hate. This is the ethics. It is the dharma, the Bharatiya dharma of ageless time. That is the one that should be put into that box and put into the robo when it has to make a decision about morality, about ethics. This we have to press. So the CTMS is being revived. It was not dead. Now and then I have been submitting, but now this young man, Mr. Raju, has come forward, Mohan Raju, although he is working in a company and that company is engaged. And I'm very, very happy. I was the advisor to Dhirubhai Ambani in 1994 and gave him the vision, we'll make the telephony cheaper than the postcard. You announce it. That's how Dhirubhai said, I will make telephony cheaper than the postcard, and it is so. We have to have a vision, and you must have the integrity and the intellectual capacity and the tenacity to pursue it relentlessly. One man with conviction is a majority. One man with conviction is a majority. These are the ideals that inspire the work of the CTMS. I am 91 years young, and I want to be younger. And the support from people like you, that helps me. I have to live up to what they have said. I congratulate Sri Raju for the initiative that he has taken, for the great work that he has been doing for the last few months in assembling people, and what the CTMS has done and what it has got to do. It has got to do tremendous things all over the world. When demonopolization started, a number of companies came. In India, there were 12 companies, telephone companies competing with one another. In 1 year, we gave about 120 million telephones, but all of them died. There are only 2 RGA, Airtel, and sinking and dying Vodafone. So, and BSNL, etc., of course, they're always losing money as well as subscribers. Are we going to become again a monopoly? The worldwide phenomenon is from a multiplicity, we have settled down to a duopoly. It is worldwide phenomenon. America, England, Germany, Japan, etc. 90% of the market will be had by 2 companies, maybe 50 companies having the other 10%. That means niche services. This is natural. Change is constant. Vasamsu jirnani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naroparani. As the useless body is thrown away and a new body is taken up by the soul. Similarly, the structure of the organization should have to change according to time. Kalayata maham. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord has said, Kalayatam, that which produces a change is time. The old order changes, yielding place to new, lest one good custom should corrupt the entire world. That's what Lord Tennyson has written. Whether it is Tennyson or Bhagavad Gita, all of them have said it is time. What happened during time? Technology. What technology? It will determine how we live, how we produce, how we act, how we communicate, how we die also. Therefore, the CTMS with a new blood, with new people and new companies and existing companies with greater wisdom supporting it will see that its efforts, its campaigns will help the digitalization of India and the evolution of India into an information society. Communicate for work, commute for pleasure. That it works has been demonstrated by India during the last 2 years, thanks to the pandemic called COVID. I thank Mr. Raju and everyone who has spoken well about the CTMS and me. That gives me some more years to work. It is a challenge to work more. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We are humbled to hear and our gratitude for sharing your kind words on this occasion and even sharing the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita for the younger generation to, inculcate in our lives. Thank you so much.
Gandhiji called Gita my mother. Whenever anybody is in trouble, any shock is there, what do you say? Amma, Ma, mother. Gita is the mother. Any problem, when I think, I get an appropriate sloka saying, gives me that inspiration.
Thank you once again. I would now like to welcome Mr. Mohan Raju to address the August gathering.
Thank you, Asha. I think it'll be very difficult to speak after Dr. Chaudhary, but I'll just take a quick minute. I'll share my screen as well. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay, so way forward, as highlighted by Dr. Chaudhary, our way forward is foundationed by the thoughts of Dr. Chaudhary. As we move forward into the future, it is very much essential to bring focus towards building an environment and ecosystem in our country, which promotes the development of the ICT sector in a sustainable and holistic manner, as well as bring high focus towards the promotion of indigenous R&D, IP development, and entrepreneurship by leveraging the capable, bright, and young talent pool of India. Centered around these thoughts, our vision would continue to empower the ICT ecosystem stakeholders for promotion of emerging ICTs and to enable the acceleration of digital transformation for the enrichment of citizens and society. Our mission would be to facilitate the telecom and information technology ecosystem in a neutral and inclusive way through knowledge-based intellectual initiatives. To give all of you a high-level view of our focus areas, if I have to capture all that in one slide, our focus areas would continue to be around emerging information communication technologies, like in today's context, 5G, 6G, AI, cloud, we all spoke about it, and their indigenous customization to be applied ultimately to our industry verticals, which ultimately power our economy to a $5 trillion economy. Now, our initiatives will be centered largely around the national priorities, like Make in India, Skill India, Startup India, and Digital India. And as we take these initiatives, we'll be encompassing the entire ecosystem, spectrum of the ecosystems, involving academia, industry, startups, and the governments. So that's a high-level view of how we plan to move forward. Our initiatives will be largely in two formats. One is the thought leadership initiatives, as several dignitaries mentioned as well, and skilling initiatives to bring up the talent and develop the talent pool within our country. Our delivery modes will be in flagships, webinars, knowledge-based initiatives, and skills. And as we move forward, our core philosophy at heart would be having strong alliances and partnerships to foster an impact together. Like our existing partnerships, like you can see some of them, Electronics for You. Thanks to them for hosting this session on World Telecom Day 2022. Institution of Electronics and Telecommunications Engineer, with whom we are hosting a session later in the day for all the student and engineering college fraternity, and so on. And today we announced one more partnership with Broadband India Forum earlier in today's session. So these will be at the heart to drive the ecosystem together. And we are open to connect with any stakeholders in the industry or the spectrum across the country to make an impact together. So with that, I would leave at a high level view on the way forward, and more on these as we move forward in our further deliberations and sessions. Thank you very much. I would like to hand back to Asha for further proceedings. And Asha, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mohan Raju, for your inspiring address. Going forward. Now I would like to welcome our next speaker, Mrs. Aruna Pidikiti. Mrs. Aruna Pidikiti is the Senior Vice President and Head, Network Operations, Bharti Airtel. She has over 25 plus years of diverse experience in network operations, planning, network quality and optimizations, project execution, and end-to-end service delivery in multi-technology domains, which includes wireless LTE, 2G, 3G, IP/MPLS, ISP, and fiber transport networks. While Mr. Pidikiti has a medical appointment to attend to, she has been kind enough to share her inspiring words with us, which we have in a pre-recorded video. So, you're not able to hear?
Yes. Go ahead, Aruna.
Asha can't hear.
No, I think Sharad has shared.
Sorry, Sharad is coordinating.
Is the audio clear?
No, we are not.
No. Okay.
We are hearing but low.
Very low.
Okay.
Very low.
Is the audio still low?
No, lip reading. We can't do lip reading.
I think there's a problem from my side again.
Okay, fine. I'll give
Over
it
to you, Asha.
काय झाला?
R.S. Sharma sir, guest of honor, T.V. Ramachandran sir, and rest all eminent industrial professionals. It's my pleasure to share the dais with all of you. And my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Mohan Raju for giving this opportunity to speak in this forum. Respected Chaudhary sir, Padma Shri awardee, and man of telecom revolution and IT development. My namaskaram, sir. I would have wished you and taken your blessing directly on dais, but the situations have changed our ways of working. The recent pandemic, as we all aware, and the digital transformation changed many things through virtual, and thus this session is made as a virtual session for all of us. Sir is a visionary leader in telecom industry, a writer and eminent speaker, and his contribution in telecom industry is a great achievement and applauded by many industry leaders on that. Personally, sir is a simple and very down-to-earth person. So I would like to share my anecdote, the experience which I had with sir basically. My father was from BSNL and he kept telling about sir on his achievements and the way he brought changes in the telecom industry. He had desired that I should work in BSNL through passing through the ITS, etc. And work under the leadership of sir, but I could not meet his expectations and turn my career mainly in the private industry, the way after my education. Fortunately, during my career in 2013-14 year, I got opportunity to share dais with sir during one of the event at Osmania University, Hyderabad. And that was the first meeting which I had with sir, and I appraised my father on the same, and it was like dream come true for him. I could see his happiness, and that was a memorable moment for me to meet and greet sir during that event. And there I could really see how the sir is like a down-to-earth person and mainly respected by many people in the industry. On this telecom day, CTMS Relaunch with EFI Group under your leadership again is a great initiative, sir, and I'm confident that this would definitely bring a lot of value to the industry. In the current industry, as everyone aware, during the pandemic, we learned many things and fast-tracked our overall digital transformation journey, especially in the telecom industry, and thus increases the need of digitalization in the consumer life and changed overall lifestyle and behavior of the consumer. To cope up with the demands and the digital transformation, to enabling this digital transformation, there is a need of top technologies which needs to be adopted by the industry. I can just quote few technologies which are going to be emerging and the need of the hour for all of us in the telecom industry. The prime one, mainly connectivity technologies, in that both in the wireless and the wireline. If you see, the 5G is the most important promising upcoming technology where everyone is speaking about in the current environment, which gives us the higher speeds, low latency, and also MMTC option. Wi-Fi 6 is another connectivity technology, especially wireless connectivity technology, which will complement with the 5G to enhance the network capacities, connect more devices, reduce the congestions, and also enable the IoT deployment and support always on kind of a devices. For these 5G readiness, we have to have a huge backhauls, which is the need of the hour for all of us. Thus, the need of increase in the penetration of the fiber across the country is very much essential. With these connectivity technologies and the new trending technology of the IoT, the Internet of Things, is going to play key role in the monetization of the CSPs, mainly in the solutions like home automations, which provides exceptional mobile and network services to smart home appliances and also for real-time monitoring, health and medical systems, mainly for the remote surgeries or many other medical transactions, industry 4.0 evaluation. Automation industry is going to be another big use case with this IoT coming on 5G. The smart cities, farming, etc. There is various trend of IoT new solutions are going to be evolved, which will increase the overall monetization of the CSPs by using all these new technology trends. The other one important one which is going to complement for these IoT solutions or the mobile edge computing, especially the edge data centers, and also the cloud computing are going to complement these IoT solutions. Artificial intelligence and the machine language, which is again a big keyword in the industry, the current industry trends, because this is one of the big trends which is going to impact the industry, enabling the hyper automation and thus transforming the operations, improving the operational efficiencies, reducing many manual works or kind of an automations which are required in the industry part. With this growing computing infrastructure, definitely a need to tackle the security risks, and thus the cyber security is another important area for this industry. So adoption of all these such top technologies will definitely enable operators for new wave of digitalization, which is the need of the hour for all of us, increasing innovation and thus meeting the needs of the customer for all type of applications. I'm glad that CTMS is being relaunched at the right time, which is the need of hour for the industry. And this entity can definitely value add to the industry as a neutral body. Mainly, this entity can work on recommending simple processes for developing the telecom infrastructure. Like we have as a telecom operators, we need to get many permissions from the governments. Those processes can be simplified, through which, those kind of recommendations can always be recommended. Though government is working in that direction, but the recommendations from renewed leaders like Hanuman Chaudhary sir, like kind of a thing, will definitely give a lot of value addition on that. And also can establish trainings for skill development in various technology trends, which I just spoke on that, and can also work on consulting, etc., for these new technologies, on the how that can be adopted, how that can be integrated end to end. Those many consulting also can be taken. Like many more initiatives can be taken to support the industry. Once again, I congratulate Hanuman Chaudhary sir, Dr. Hanuman Chaudhary sir, for this relaunch and initiative. Thank you all for giving this opportunity, and best of luck. Thanks once again.
Thank you, Aruna. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind words on this occasion. It was really inspiring, touching upon the practical aspects. I would like to welcome our next speaker, Mr. Sudhir Kundar, Country Director, Decade. He has over 29 years of experience in the telecom, FMCG, retail, and ICT industries. Mr. Sudhir Kundar oversees the company's operations in India and the SAARC region. He has previously worked for companies such as Sifi Technologies, Tata Communications, and Bharti Airtel, where he managed diverse portfolios spanning business, operations, marketing, and sales. His extensive experience in the telecommunication industry across multiple functions has enabled him to drive business growth at decades. Welcome, Mr. Sudhir. We look forward to hear.
Thank you. Firstly, let me tell you that it is an exhilarating experience to be listening to honorable panelists, and it's an honor to listen to Dr. Chaudhary. And also, let me take this opportunity to congratulate Mohan Raju, who, despite being in the humdrum of corporate life, has been putting in, I don't know how many hours of his personal space and time to ensure that he brings, this second version of CTMS to fructification, and hats off to you. And as I try to say a couple of words from what I thought I should be speaking, a lot of it resonated from what earlier folks mentioned out here. And Nikix typically has been doing its own little bit in terms of getting the digital transformation journey simplified for a lot of SMEs, SMBs, enterprises, as well as the ISP industry in general. So we basically are an interconnection platform, 26 years old globally, and about 4.5 years here in India. And what typically comes on from our services is a unique proposition of a single access port, which gives our customers, internet exchange, cloud exchange, and a host of other services, which makes their life easy from a CIO CXO perspective, wherein not only do we help optimize cost, but we also ensure that we give them a plug and play mechanism on both the bandwidth consumption as well as their various digital transformation endeavors that they want to come across. What we've seen is the pandemic typically brought to the fore how important internet plays a role, not only in financial wellness, but also mental wellness of a lot of people. Had it not been for the entire ecosystem of private telco players and players like us, who were able to bring the quality of internet to people at homes. Suddenly, when a shift happened from the enterprise class buildings to residential buildings, and how is it that we were able to play a very pivotal role in ensuring that what used to take 6 to 8 weeks would happen in 12 hours flat, has helped us become not only number one in India in the last 2 years, but also Mumbai became number one in terms of connected customers across the Asia Pacific region, which consists of 29 countries and 153 exchanges. This, as a matter of fact, is something that all our friends and colleagues have been proud of, to see an Indian entity become a rocket ship in the last 2.5 years. And today, as I speak and as I understand, I don't think there could have been a better place and time for CTMS 2.0 to come across to the larger landscape in the Indian ecosystem, wherein we see that 2015 India had just about 5,000 odd startups, and there were about 8 unicorns, if I'm not wrong.
Now
And in a
100.
span of, sorry, sir?
Now 100.
Yeah, and now within a span of 7 years, we see 60,000 startups and 100 such organizations which are touching
Unicorns.
a revenue of 1 billion. Yes, and as they're respectfully called, unicorn because of that. So this kind of a digital transformation that we've seen here also would get more amplified when people come across with the unified thought of doing well for the country, for the ecosystem, irrespective of what walks of life we come forward from. And what a day for us when we are listening to folks speak about 5G, IoT, AI, which according to us in the Dickix parameter, we say it is a digital triangle, wherein 5G is the heart, IoT would be the hand, and AI is the brain. But all this culminates into an exchange. And when this happens, along with edge ecosystem, where we will definitely play an important and a pivotal role to ensure that we bring industry relevant solutions to play and make ease of doing business far more better for our customers. We see the morning newspapers coming and telling us that the Prime Minister has launched something which is probably unthinkable a couple of years back, where we launched for 5G, which means and point comes to play, where top minds in the country are going to be able to set up an incubating hub which helps people put their services, their offerings to actual use case scenarios, and then the entire curve that would have taken a couple of months or probably years would be shortened because of a ready-made lab kind of a structure available. And I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot about it in the near future. So just by having an offering, and that's what I've been telling my people sometimes, that it's not what you have, but what you do with what you have that equally matters in times like today. And what we've been trying to do by looking at our overall ecosystem is that very soon we see fiberization happen at a pace at which we have probably not heard of. And even today, when we see all of us talk about 4 metros and maybe the second or third layer and say that we've connected India, but no, I think the true Bharat still needs to be connected. There are 6 lakh villages, out of which only 2,06,000 odd villages are today on fiber. And I think some part of that acceleration can be played by the internet exchange community per se, whereby we help optimize a lot of bandwidth consumption, then allowing these players to offload that onto the exchange and use that capex wisely to invest in their own geographies, so that they are able to get the best in class equipment, best in class technology, get deployed out here. We also come from a background where we say, while we are not an NGO, obviously, but we come from a fact that Deutsche Commercial Internet Exchange comes from the idea that make internet an easily accessible service, and it is not something that is available to the elite only. That was the thought process when we started off business out of a post office in Frankfurt 26 years back. And we still stick to the ethos, and that's why you see a lot of white papers, a lot of researches that we do on our own or across collaborative exercises with the governments gets put on at our website for open source, so that our collaborators, but because we don't see folks as competition, but this is an industry which collaborates and does well for the community. So we see that everybody is able to enrich themselves with the knowledge base that we bring to the table. As a result of this, we've seen, last 2 years showed us that not only are we going to be in a position to accelerate the consumption of high-class cutting-edge technology here in India, but also that will help us become probably number one. Today, we are number two in terms of connected customer base using broadband after China, wherein we typically have about 658 odd million subscribers. But I'm sure by 2025 we should be number one, and after that, the fiberization, which is today at 0.7 million, will reach about 40 million, is what our understanding is. So this kind of a headroom at all levels means that there is enough and more for all like-minded people like us to do. And very recently, I saw that there was a portal from the government which said that ROW will now become a centralized piece wherein everything can be taken care of. The license fees has come down. So the government doing its own bit in terms of various ways and means to ensure that we are in a position to ensure the digital India dream comes to play sooner rather than later. And when that is, happening on one end, it's incumbent on people like us, where we try to show a small light in front of the sun that is there in front of us in Mr. Chaudhary's presence, that in our own small shape and form, we will be able to bring the best-in-class technology, best-in-class service, and our thought leadership and market leadership to play in an environment whereby we do well for the community as well, as much as we, as an enterprise, grow and serve both the ends of the spectrum, wherein you see in 2018, we had only one OTT player available in the Indian market run by Reliance Industries, the Reliance Anil Ambani Group. And today, 2021 December, you have 48 OTTs thriving and prospering. The kind of data consumption that we had earlier and today is metamorphically changing. And on an average, there is a probably 13.5 gigs of per user. 13 gigs is what he consumes on a monthly basis today. These were things that I would never have even dreamt when I was in CIFI, and we used to sell in the consumer business back in 2002, where we used to sell packs of 32, 64, and 128 kbps. So from those days to days now, whereby we see optical fiber being laid out anywhere between 350 kilometers to 1251 kilometers a day, and a triangulated approach by all relevant participants to this dream of making India a 3 trillion or a 5 trillion economy, I think is a reality. And I am personally very gung-ho and optimistic in the way in which the private players as well as the government has been looking at not only having concepts but also bringing the right kind of use cases. And that's where I think CTMS will play an important role in making this available in a time to people where information is power, knowledge is power in today's time, and bringing that knowledge base across the entire diaspora of SMEs, SMBs, enterprises, and the kind of cloudification that I have personally witnessed in the last 2.5 years. I think what would have happened in the last in the next 5 years from 2019 is now happening at a far more rapid pace. And we've seen CIOs, CXOs go back to the drawing board and build their AOPs in such a manner that they are able to spend in the right place at the right time, looking at the scalability, reliability, robustness, and the multifunctional availability that cloud offering brings to the fore. And one of the telcos also here in the month of October, where they've been able to see us as collaborators in the market and not as competitors actually. And their entire set of customers today are being served via the Dipix Direct Cloud. So I'm very hopeful and excited to see that what Mohan is trying to bring to play under the August leadership that is going to be able to bless him and us with the kind of thought processes that we have. The next 2 years is going to be an exhilarating journey for all of us. And I wish all of us a great time. Thank you very much for having invited me here. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be on the same forum as Dr. Chaudhary and others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sudhir, for your kind words of this occasion and words on connecting the real Bharat. So we will look forward to that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We now welcome Mrs. Sushmita and Mr. Rudra as our next speakers. Mrs. Sushmita and Mr. Rudra are the co-founders of Cloud Tailor, India's fashion and tailoring brand for global women. Sushmita is an entrepreneur at heart and a technology buff by career. She has over 18 years of extensive career as a software engineer with leading organizations. Mr. Rudra has substantial entrepreneurial experience and has previously co-founded multiple companies, which include 2 SaaS companies, event management firms, television production house, to name few. Welcome, Mr. Rudra and Mr. Sushmita. We would like to hear from you.
Thank you, Ashaji. Respected Dr. T.H. Chaudhary sir, Dr. R.S. Sharma sir, Sir T.V. Ramachandran sir, Sir S. Kulkarni, Dr. S.K. Hajela sir, Dr. B. N. Bhaskar Rao sir, Dr. Jayaprakash Narayan sir, Mohan Raju, dignitaries from CTMS, honorable members of the panel, and to all the delegates, I wish everyone a very good afternoon. I'm Sushmita, founding member of Cloud Tailor, which is an ICT-driven, tech-first phygital D2C brand offering fashion styling and convenient tailoring to global women. We are based out of Hyderabad and have our fashion centers in 9 cities in India and serve both domestic and global orders. Before I go into the role of ICT in any startup's origin and growth, I would like to share a few points about how all of this shaped up in hindsight. Because of the foresight, mettle, and vision of Dr. Chaudhary sir, it laid a solid foundation for India to emerge and stay competitive in the global ICT arena. Hence, opportunities unfolded and amplified over the years in a step-by-step manner. The vision of Chaudhary Garu and his team members of making telecom, internet, and access of precious bandwidth available to the corporates to start with and then to the Aam Aadmi was put into the motion through CTMS and many other important forums. The telecom and the ICT growth we are seeing around us today is a culmination of meticulously planned hard work and efforts of the past governments, critics, and senior government officials like Chaudhry Garu, Kohli sir, and many other distinguished personalities. We are grateful for the ICT-enabled world stage right here in India, which enables us to dare, attempt, envision, and enact a startup that aims to solve a social need. I will touch upon a few points on how Cloud Tailor was facilitated by enabling environment available for startups to latch on. During my second pregnancy and after the birth of my daughter 2 years ago, I found personalized tailoring is not as convenient and easy, which all of us used to take it for granted. This is especially challenging for pregnant women and women with special needs. Being a software professional, I could envision how we could use technology to solve the challenge of convenience and comfort for women across the globe. Myself and my husband, who is also a software engineer, Mr. Rudra, we both set off on this journey to be able to initiate an MVP of the mobile app and the backend ERP to enable the fashion fulfillment. After personally visiting over 400 of our early customers, we could understand the requirements of the market and how we could form the workflow of these services. I would request now Mr. Rudra to take us through the model of how we harness the ICT and the support of the ecosystem to grow faster and in a very nimble way. I thank everyone, and once again I thank Mr. Chaudhry Garu and Mohan Raju to give me this opportunity. I am very much humbled to share this screen with the industry stalwarts. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Rudra, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is able to see the screen as well.
Yes, Rudra, we can see and see your screen and hear clearly.
So thanks, Sushmita. Thanks for allowing us to be part of this August gathering and on the call. It's really nice of us to be able to share what we could use ICT to build a startup which aims to solve a very pertinent problem in the society, and how the blessed times we are, I would say, compared to the last 6 years, 7 years. This is the time of startups awakening, making use of each other's technologies and the assets that they have to mutually benefit, grow in the most nimble manner, in the most low cost, efficient manner, which was erstwhile not possible. So that has all been made into a reality because of the early vision that industry experts such as Chaudhry Garu had, and the metal that they could strike to and stick to. That was very important in the early days of telecom, and that has now fructified. So it is taking a nice shape. We wanted to point out a few things that we built into. If you can imagine what we are building at Cloudter, it's a very basic service. It's tailoring for women. If you look at a very bare minimum elementary level of business proposition, but how we encompassed into a package of IT, a very pertinent ML, AI, and how we are using virtual reality to enable gamification, engage women, make their decision cycles much shorter, give them a garment that they always wanted in the highest quality possible. That is the vision and mission that we have. And we are enabling this for any woman across the globe. They can get it stitched in any of the cities where we have services. They are all our own centers, and at the same time alter it anywhere. So it's like a problem which has been existing so far. No one really attacked it with a technology solution. So we took the bull by the horns and really kept at it. And it's 2 years since we have started. I will just run you through a 10 slide deck quickly. First, I would show you what we are doing, and then I'll show you how we are doing it using technology. So at a USP level, we are the world's first digital personalized fashion brand. We offer free alterations for lifetime. We deliver fashion across the world. We do any style, any fashion, but exclusively for women's wear. The reason this slide is there is because then you can see how we are transforming this vision into a ICT-led solution. that is there in the mobile that you're holding in your hands, and in the desktop that our fashion centers run on the back end. There's a beautiful ERP we have designed in-house to be able to fulfill that. There are many incoming orders from across the world. How do they smartly reorganize? How much does the system understand and make the job easier? So just some pictures of how the centers are. And these are our offline exclusive brand outlets. And this is our centers inside Reliance. But then how does it all neatly tie down to? How do you make sense of all the offline centers? Why do we have offline centers versus what sort of technology ties it down to a beautiful experience? We have the customer app, we have a operations ERP module, we have our own fashion designer marketplace to be able to democratize access to the millions of fashion designers across the world. They can log in, create their account and service any of our clients. The system smartly allocates orders to all of them. That's a huge revenue generating potential, income generating potential for fashion designers out there. We have a nice third-party API interface. This is another boon for all the startups. They don't have to build everything from scratch. We are using a tons of APIs. We have a completely headless and API architecture, API feeding architecture. For example, we have consumed Fabric Lore, Diora, Shiprocket, for that matter, Hasura, and many other AI ML technologies, including message passing. So we have made use of the most robust and time-proven systems, not building it from scratch. That many of these solutions and offerings are architected and designed in India itself. So that's a very beautiful thing that startups are able to harness right now, including any of the activities you need for AI, ML, visualizations, or for that matter, virtual reality, message passing, API systems, marketplaces, or for that matter, logistics. Logistics is booming, powered by the backend interfaces that companies like CleverTap, Shiprocket, everyone has built APIs that you can consume. You can, in fact, start off on a logistics service on your startup, offering within like 5 to 10 minutes, which was impossible to think of. So that's what we use to service any pin code in the country. And that's what we use to deliver our orders across the world. So that sort of a thing is taken off our mind. We don't have to plan for it, don't account for the budgeting, the expenses, and the effort to build that. And that's what we have smartly used here. There is also a backend app for all the masters, tailors, and center in charges, the pickup delivery executives, the logistics. We have built apps for all of them to build a completely data-driven model. We know exactly how much time is spent on every order, in which desk, on which employees order side, how much time the order spent is spending on the logistics side, who is doing it. So we can all neatly tie it down to the feedback of the customer and give required trainings back to the master or the tailor as and when the feedbacks change. On the customer support side, we are using a wonderful tool designed by Tata Teleservices. It's SmartFlow, a very integrated tool. So I've made use of it, and to service the customers 24/7. We have a 15-seater call center, 24/7 call center in Hyderabad. We have our technology team sitting out of Hyderabad. We have a 20-member technology team, all inclusive. The entire process team, I'm talking out of the same center here. So this is something that we could build in 4 to 5 months. Given the pace and the acceleration, the catalyzing effect that the startups currently have, and that is some of the, I think it's a blessing for someone to be able to start. This is the right time, and that's what someone should be aiming to as soon as possible. Also, the app-based interfaces, there are such seamless technologies available nowadays. You can do a lot of visualizations, front-end, back-end, lot of automated systems available. No-code systems also are a boon nowadays, where even normal novices can build systems, the most complex systems based on workflow management, drag and drop editors to build a company and a solution of their own. That's what is so easy nowadays. We took a little longer route. We built the entire IP in-house, the entire ERP, the smart ML, AI, all of it in-house. We have a very pertinent MLAI that keeps running on the backend. The whole purpose of it is to ensure that we offer the best experience to the customer, a very customized experience to the customer. That would include all of the biases like their current trends, influence, previous buying patterns, spend affinity. And on the marketing side, we have tied up with 4 other startups. One of them is a pretty mature company, Netco, and then there is M-Filter, there is Nirvana, and many other such companies that have made a lot of jobs easier through API integration. So APIs are something that all startups should definitely consider in terms of not designing and engineering things from scratch, but trying to peep outside and see if there is something available that they can consume to scale up faster. We will be launching our VR shortly. We will be using VR to portray the way a dress would look. So this is a DIY that we are offering to the women across the globe to be able to design the dress of their own, apply the textures, design the pattern, change the different features of the garment, see it in 3D, rotate it in turn on a turntable, zoom in, zoom out, change the surroundings around them, take a click, share it with their friends and relatives, ask them how the dress is, how would it look on it. The body shape is exactly the measurements that are uploaded on the app. It changes as per the measurements you change. And the face is exactly the way you look. That's how the selfie-based patchment happens. So this is a experience we are bringing for the first time. All of this technology is built in-house. We own the IP for it. And that also is made possible by use of some clever use of technology, including repurposing code. So the ordering cycle also gets completed on VR. So if you can look at the technology stack we use, we are just standing on the shoulders of the giants and looking much further. Many of the companies here are industry giants. We don't have to really build everything from scratch is what I always believe. We should take the best that's there, use it to our requirement, and always prefer something which is paid, has good support, so that you can always ensure the back-to-back support to our customers as well. So that's all I had on our side, and really glad to be on this forum, speaking to stalwarts like you, Chaudhary sir, Ravichandran sir. So thank you everyone. Thanks. That's all we had from our side.
Thank you so much, Sushmita and Mr. Rudra, for touching upon key aspects of the startup ecosystem and also synthesizing technology and creativity together through Cloud Tailor. Looking forward to that endeavor of yours. Wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I would like to next welcome our next speaker, Mr. Shivas Mandal. Mr. Shivas Mandal leads the R&D efforts for 5G product development at HFCL as a vice president. In this role, he works with academia, standards development organizations, open source community, and technology partners. Prior to joining HFCL, he served as the chief architect of Wipro's organization-wide 5G initiative. He was recognized as a Wipro Fellow for his technical contributions. He has over 30 years of engineering experience in telecom research and development. Shubhash is a passionate technologist and has developed a variety of solutions and frameworks in emerging technology areas such as 5G, SDN/NFV, Li-Fi, cybersecurity, and AI for network automation. Shubhash is an electronics and telecom engineer from IIT Kharagpur. Welcome to Mr. Mandal, and over to you, sir, for your kind words you can share.
Yeah, thank you, Asha. And it is indeed humbling to be with the telecom stalwarts like Dr. Chaudhary. And what could be a better way to celebrate the telecom, World Telecom and Information Society Day than this? So very, very inspiring. And I really am fascinated with the kind of energy, Dr. Chaudhary, you are exhibiting at your young 91-year age. So really salute to you. Absolutely humbling, sir. And I must take this opportunity to congratulate Mohan Raju and CTMS on this launch of CTMS 2.2. So if I go back 30 years, when I started my career back in 91 in CDOT, I could connect back to some of the problem that Mr. Jaiprakash talked about. Waiting for 3 years, paying 8,000 rupees to get a landline telephone, and still not sure how good or bad the connection is going to look like. 30 years fast forward, we are in a very different world today. We are talking about cloud tailoring, sitting at home. You just design your own dress, order it, order gets fulfilled. No hassle of paying the, I would say that fast forward charging fees for connecting your telephone, and you apply, you know the telephone has been allocated, wait for 3 weeks, no action happening, follow up, no such hassle anymore. It's just at the convenience of a button you have that. So if I again go back 30 years, I had the opportunity to create the telephone actions. One of the first things that I did was the remote switching unit, some of the key feature of CDOT telephone actions, and I got the opportunity to do it from scratch, take it to Kerala in Kalamashari village, install it, and then see how life transforming it could be for the villagers where there are no connections. Today's problems are very different. All the NTP 1989 that many speakers talked about, that Dr. Chaudhary had authored, created the telecom revolution in the country. It brought in the best possible telecom services that you can imagine. You do not have to wait. You get the connection in no time. And there is a problem of plenty. The challenge I see today is that while we are building all the services, it is all with the imported technologies. And there is very little that is going into the core network infrastructure with the indigenous technologies. So when I started as a fresh graduate from the college, it was so fascinating to create the technology, being in the lab without realizing that it's already almost midnight and I am still in the lab. The time just flew, and the joy of creating and making things work. So 30 years later, I have come back to the same point at a starting point where we are creating 5G technology from scratch, all indigenously. And I'm really passionate about creating this capability, and the young leaders who hold the umpteen potential to take India forward and then be in the global stage with the differentiated products that you can create locally here. So I really am very happy to see this CTMS 2.0, and with the, I would say, inspiration and the foundation that the visionaries like Dr. Chaudhary has laid, India holds the potential to be Atmanirbhar, to be technology self-sufficient. And many things that have been talked about, the way I look at specifically in this Telecom and Information Society Day, if I really look at it, the world, we are in a very different situation. There is a global climate crisis. There is a UN's sustainability goals, providing the connectivity across those who are not served, connecting the unconnected, bringing the terrestrial and non-terrestrial communication together. There is an emergence of new set of services that we never thought would require the attention of telecom. So there has been terrestrial network for the mobile telephony that has revolutionized the industry. There are satellite communications. How do you converge them together? So we are in a time where there was a geosynchronous satellites. Now we are getting into LEO satellites. We are seeing the drone services gaining prominence for many new services. How do you provide connectivity to the drone? So there are many different new challenges coming up. And the previous speakers talk about cloud tailoring, bringing AR, VR, and then giving it at the hand of the consumers. And you have to provide the computing capability to make sure that you can build all the AI model and still execute at the hand of the consumer. So how do you really build this model? How do you train it? How do you really bring? So essentially the telecom network that used to be a telephony services with a landline has evolved to be an information highway, and that needs to be really catering to the need, the ever increasing need of the bandwidth. But it is not only the bandwidth, it is the responsiveness. If I am doing a cloud gaming, I need to have my VR set sending an enormous amount of data to reach the cloud server to make sure that my click is in time and there is no bias in the mechanism because my connection was slow and my opponent connection was fast. How do you really bring all of that together? So ultra reliable, low latency connection for many services that we are talking about. If you are talking about driving a car remotely, sitting here, I am driving my car, dropping my son to his college, then unless I have an absolutely reliable connectivity, I cannot avoid an accident, right? So all these are very fascinating. So the technology is coming together. We are in a world of multidisciplinary technologies. AI is at the mix of everything. The good part is India has been the capital, IT capital, and I look at it as a ICT, information, communication and technology, right? All of them coming together. The world today, all the telecom network is softwareized, but then at the same time, the software needs an hardware to run upon. We have been relying on the global silicon supply chain. The global supply chain is in a strain today. So how do you really make sure that India becomes sufficient on the silicon side as well? I see it's really great to see the time changing India taking initiative to have the silicon maybe fabless, but then the design being in-house. So we are in a very fascinating time, I would say. And again, I would like to congratulate CTMS on this CTMS 2.0 launch. Best wishes. Looking forward to see the great time ahead, making India Atmanirbhar with the technology created by people for the people in the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mondal, for your inspiring words and touching upon the challenges.
Shadona.
Times.
And
And of course, the Atmanirbhar, reiterating the Atmanirbhar Bharat for being self-sufficient technology-wise. Thank you so much. So next, moving on. Now I would like to welcome our next speaker, Mr. Anand Mohan Jha. Shri Anand Mohan Jha is a senior head at National Skill Development Council, NSDC, a public-private partnership under the aegis of Ministry of Skill Development, Government of India. He has handled various divisions like the Sector Cell Council Governance, Parliamentary Facilitation Cell, India International Skill Center, BRICS Engagement, Revenue Assurance, Contact Center Unit, and Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Anand likes to undertake advocacy of Skill India mission with external stakeholders on different industry forums. He's passionate about developing innovative ideas and new technology development for skill ecosystem. Before joining NSDC, Mr. Anand served which he's well known for his expertise in acquiring large business deals and deploying complex projects in enterprise telecom business. Welcome, sir, and we wish to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Asha-ji. Thank you, Dr. Chaudhary, for the invite. Greetings to all the distinguished invitees and the eminent speakers. I would like to congratulate CTMS for the relaunch. And I'll focus upon the ICT part of it there, which other speakers spoke a little earlier. But I'll focus on the skilling, not on the hardware, software, or the communication. I'll focus on the hardware. That's what puts everything together. So with my telecom background, with what I'm doing for the last 5 years in a not-for-profit organization like NSDC, it's a pleasure and honor to be here this August campaign. Thank you so much once again. Next, please. Mohan. So it's a flagship scheme of Government of India, which is called Mission Skill India, very favorite of the Prime Minister, to yield the demographic dividend of the country, focusing on the youth. It derives from the National Skill Development Policy 2015 and has been subsumed by the current governing document, which is the New Education Policy 2020, which amalgamates skilling and education together. So that's the way going forward, so that skills become aspirational, become respectable there. That's what the entire intention is all about. So till date, what we have done about 3.8 crores of training youth of this country, mainly in the flagship scheme called Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, and also lots of market-led, industry-led fee-based programs that we do. I'll not take much of a time. I'll only focus on a few of the key things there. What we do at NSDC, we create capacity, to advocacy and development for the central ministries, different ministries. 19 of them run the skill schemes. Some of the departments also are there in that. All the state governments and union territories, 37 of them have a skill development mission or organization which is into this system. Any ecosystem, which is the entrepreneur part of it there, okay, to ecosystem with the training partner training centers do the delivery. We have about 10,500 centers across the country. Then the assessment protocol, these were not existing before the Skill India mission came into picture there. I mean, how to get the right trainers, right teachers, right assessment platforms, protocols in place there. The second thing that we do is basically to the finance. As you know, we were set up in 2009 under Ministry of Finance to create an impact in this country, mainly as a financial institution focusing on the skilling part. So we have given grants to sector skill councils. We give loans, soft loans at the rate of 6%, few years of moratorium for the entrepreneurs, organizations to set up skill ecosystem in this country, the infrastructure in this country. We also are into skill impact bonds. So we're getting funding from international philanthropic and multilateral agencies. So we are not only in the government funded scheme of things or only industry funded or CSR part of it there. We're also reaching out to international philanthropy bodies there. And appetite for skilling is always there. We get lots of respect for being a professional implementation agency, recognized worldwide there. So the third thing that we do is basically scheme implementation, which we are known most for, which is implementation of the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana scheme. Very soon we'll be launching the 4th version of it. Then we, as I said, run the market-led program, which is the way either the candidate pays a fees or the corporate pays the fees. This runs on its own there. We'd also do lots of CSR, schemes there, mainly from PSUs and private institutions there. We set up a subsidiary company, though we are for-profit, not for-profit, but we have set up a for-profit NSDC International, focusing on international markets. We run schemes like a technical internship training program with government of Japan. We closely work with government of UAE, with Saudi Arabia, and we're opening other countries there, mainly Southeast Asia, Europe. That's what we are opening under this umbrella, mainly to promote safe and honest and the right way of international mobility of workforce from India. On the industry connect and advocacy, we have set up 37 sector skill council, which serves as an interface between the government, NSDC, and the industry. It's led by who's who. I mean, they work on a pro bono basis. They give their time, vision to us. They meet us on a quarterly basis, and we're really honored and indebted to them for the time and value contribution. You name it, there are people on the board. So 37 Skill Council will range from primary sector to services sector to the manufacturing sector. Large employers, large sectors there, and some will be basically for some cause like people with disabilities. We have sector skill council for that to focus on that particular segment there, so that they don't get left out. We understand we're in social sector, so we have to be cognizant of that fact also there. The other is apprenticeship promotion. We do advocacy for that. I'll inform you about the subsequent slides, how it has benefited for the industry and for the youth of this country. Mohan, next please. So one of the sector skill council that we have set up is Telecom Sector Skill Council, established in January 2013 by promoters, organizations, RCUI, Indian Cellular Association, Digital Infrastructure Provider Association. These are the promoter of the Sector Skill Council. And UZO of the industry sit on their board. They focus mainly on the services sector, manufacturing a little bit, mainly in the smartphone manufacturing, and also in the telecom equipment gear manufacturing, as well as the infrastructure, which is the passive and active both there. Till date, they have 46 qualification packs there. And it's from entry level to the new age skills. For example, it could be from optical fiber, OFC to IoT, or let's say retail sales associate to the drone part of it. That's what we're working upon. And lately we have started, next month we'll be launching a scheme with Ministry of Railways, which is for promoting of the indigenous developed technology of Kavach. So we'll be training the supervisors and the technicians for that. So things like that is very close to my heart, coming from telecom. I personally look into this, and it's something which I cherish very, very heartily there. The Sector Skill Council of Telecom has done about 7 lakh trainings till date. They have put up 7 Center of Excellence. They have their own career portal, and there are about 10,000 plus active jobs in that. I've given the hyperlinks and the URLs so that it can be spread across there. If it can benefit the entire ecosystem, we'll be more than happy to do that. More next, please. Besides that, there are other sector councils of interest for this August audience that we have there today. Mainly, it is IT Sector Skill Council promoted by NASCOM. They also have their Future Skills platform. It has about 2.33 lakh enrollments on the Future Skills platform. They curate the content, they customize the content there. It's more of an aggregation platform, B2B and B2C both, working with the organizations, corporates, as well as the academic and education institutions. It's a NASCOM and a METI initiative. And they focus on 10 future skills, for example, like AI, ML, blockchain, cloud computing, robotics, cybersecurity, and so on. The other Sector Skill Council of interest would be of Electronic Sector Skill Council. They also have the job portal, but they focus for more on the manufacturing side of the business. They're mainly into the smartphones, manufacturing, repairs, and service part of it. The recent one that we have started is Instrumentation, Automation, Surveillance, and Communication Sector Skill Council. It's one of the new kids on the block, and work will progress soon there. But mainly this is being set up to promote Make in India, to take forward the Atmanirbhar Bharat ambition, so that the gear manufacturing and jobs are there in this country. We are there for the import substitution. Go next, please. At NSDC, we have a SIEM portal. It's a Skill Management Information System portal, where we make the demand and supply come together. Candidates and the employers come together. We're revamping this entire thing. There have been good feedback to make it easy to navigate for search purpose there. Mainly for the blue collar, but we have a range from the white collar to blue collars there. Okay, so we're working on this platform also very, very closely. We'll be revamping it very, very soon in a new avatar. More next. The next one is the National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme. This is one of the scheme which people think that it's when we talk about apprenticeship, people consider it to be for manufacturing sector. I also thought so before I joined NSDC. I thought it's for manufacturing, but it has been made one of the best acts in the world. There is a National Apprenticeship Scheme, National Apprenticeship Act of 2015, which has been completely changed and made very, very industry friendly. What the act says is that any employer who has 30 to plus workforce has to keep minimum 2.5% to 15% of the workforce as apprentices. That's what the act says. And all the Inspector Raj and all is gone there now. We manage this entire thing to a digital portal. The URL we have mentioned below, apprenticeshipindia.gov.in, where from the candidate onboarding to the contract generation to the registration of the enterprises there, everything lifecycle management happens on this portal. We have disbursed about 125 crores till date. So this NSDC is the information agency for this. About 11 lakh candidates, apprentices have been skilled till date, the 31st of March. We have registered about 1.4 lakh establishment, out of which about 30,000 are active till date on this. And this compromises of two parts there. One is the designated trade, which is by the DGT, Director of Training, or popularly known as the ITIs there. Okay. And the other one where industry people like us come in there, which is the optional trade, where we work with the Sector Skill Council and make it as close as and more nimble footed as what the industry demand is. So we do both of that. And we have been given this task because of the sector skill councils, because NSDC is close to the industry. We speak the industry language, so this task has been given to us. And I wish that the industry should take benefit of that. What the government does is, government is promoting this and saying to the industry, please hire new kids, boys and the girls there. And the 25% of the stipend which is paid by the industry is reimbursed back to the industry. So government is also taking a share in encouraging the industry to take an apprentices and pay them the stipends. And a quarter of that is getting paid back by the government to the industry as a stipend subsidy there. That's about the scheme. It's getting good traction and we're getting lots of encouraging response and support for this. Mohan, next. Besides that, at NSDC, we have 2 more D classes that we have. We have an e-learning aggregated platform. 90% of the training courses on this is free. Anybody can come and use it for free. All the content which has been created by the sector skill councils are put there. We are getting into video, embedded, energized contents there. And this is free for use. In terms of Creative Commons are applicable on this. I mean, anybody can freely go and use it there. We are there for the nation. This is national property there, and used mainly from the taxpayers' fund. So any citizen of the country is free to use this for free or customize it there as per their own requirement also. So all of them is listed on the eskillindia.org. The other is the skill intelligence platform that we have. It's called skillip.nsdc.org. Lots of research, skill gap studies, papers are published in the sector. And we would like our industry members or employees of the sector or any potential candidate who would like to make the career in the telecom sector or any other sector can come and visit, go through this. These are freely available there, made it available through our partners, the skill council and the industries there. So we have put up a repository of this for further sharing and for their own consumption. Over next. So in the end, I'll just request, please support us in transforming the skill landscape. And before I end, I would like to once again congratulate CTMS on the relaunch. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to come and address you all and put and promote the things that we're doing at Skill India. Thank you so much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jha, for taking us through the skill landscape being transformed by NSDC and the various interesting facts and figures regarding. Thank you so much. Next, we welcome Dr. Madhuri Joshi. She has served as a professor of electronics and telecommunication at College of Engineering, Pune, which is one of India's oldest premier autonomous engineering college. She was selected as professor in electronics and telecommunication by Maharashtra Public Service Commission. Over her more than 40 years of teaching and research experience, she has authored 4 books. She has published more than 150 papers, including 40 at international level. She has guided more than 5,000 undergraduate students, 13 PhD and 60 MTechs successfully. Dr. Joshi is a fellow of the IET UK and has been Commonwealth Scholar. She has been awarded Best Teacher Award by the Government of India, IET Professor S. Maharashtra VC Iyer Memorial Gold Medal for Excellence in Research, the Award for Excellence in Telecom Education. She is affectionately called Ma, which means mother because of her love, affection, and dedication towards her students. Welcome you, ma'am. Thank you so much. We would like to hear from you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Madhuri, madam, we can hear you and see you as well.
Okay, thank you. I'm very much honored to be invited for this August gathering to talk on some academic issues in ICT. I am especially thankful to Mr. Mohan Raju, and I'm very much delighted to talk with Dr. Hanuman Chaudhary, and I was very fascinated to remember one occasion when 4 decades back, while I was a student in College of Engineering, Pune, in 1974, we had invited Dr. Chaudhary for special dinner on the regatta day, that is a boat club day in College of Engineering, Pune, during the gathering. So he had a very nice talk with all of us, and I cherish the memories. So thank you for giving me this opportunity, and with the presence of a number of dignitaries, I would start my presentation. There is a very fast growth in the telecom sector worldwide and in India, and consequent development in related professional education needs to be studied. There is an ever widening gap between telecom industry and associated education sector, which has to be identified. Both are not synchronized due to inexistence of collaboration and cooperation within them, where I think CTMS will play a very major role to bridge this ever increasing gap between education and the telecom sector. Mainly, higher education focuses on the refined technical and mathematical skills, while a service provider and a customer market requires engineers for just operation and maintenance. So once they hire a very highly technical skilled manpower, and it is being utilized for routine day-to-day work, there is a lot of depression that whatever we have learned very competitively in and spending a lot of money in education is not directly being useful in industry. It is essential, highly essential to bridge this large gap between education and industry. It is a very big challenge. Day to day, this gap has been increasing. Professional societies like CTMS can address this issue very aptly. It is very high time to discuss about this. Survey of this gap and then finding ways and means to bridge it is very much essential. It's necessary to bring the teaching and practice together for enhancing also the sustainable development of telecom engineering within India. It is evident that skill set is lacking among engineers, which is necessary for their jobs in telecom service sector. Next. Engineers are hired for operation and maintenance at telecom organizations, often feel that their technical expertise is underutilized. There is a tendency from the industry point of view to hire less qualified engineers for such jobs, which is also economically viable. And those engineers, they assume that they have self-learning capabilities and they will learn the things. They should be exposed to finance and management, human resource planning and budgeting during their studies. They should be exceptionally good at handling pressures and pressure situations and at presentation skills. Along with the development, it is essential to update the knowledge. Here I would like to add that handling the pressure situations, I am very much astonished when there is a big crowd in front of a service engineer and they are all cursing that your product is not good and what hell you have given and throw away the product, and he is listening to all of them and all the queries and complaints very coolly. I don't know from where he gets that coolness. So I think he must be a yogi, and it's a special training needed to handle all such pressures. It is also essential, of course, to update the knowledge. Next. It is essential for the engineers to get on-job training. They should be good in highly refined presentations and time management skills. In HR, they should be able to conflict resolution, public relations, handling operation and maintenance related timelines. It's also necessary to pursue research in addition to the routine day-to-day work. To produce new products or low-cost solutions. These types of organizations are, of course, very few in India. There should be more such organizations to cater for the needs of all the communities, not only the high end, but the lowest end in the community, the lowest strata in the community should also be available with the latest devices at low cost. So such kind of local problems should be put forth, and there should be industry, education, academia, bridging the gap and solving such type of problems which will make the ICT useful for all stratas of the society. Being a member of CTMS, there should be such kind of benefits available to all the students, faculty, and industry members. From student point of view, there are many organizations, professional organizations, which are already running. IETE, Institution of Engineers, IEEE, Institution of Electronics, Institution of Engineering and Technology, UK based. So, and a number of such professional organizations are there. So what CTMS is going to do, which is different than those, that is the question. There should be scholarships for students even to attend the management program without their spending on it. And certification should be available, which should be an authentic certification for them to get proper internships and finally jobs. What students today are interested in are getting jobs, and they have spent a lot of money. Their parents have spent a lot of money on their education. So everyone should get a proper job of their particular dream. So they should be enabled to attain such managerial programs, which are in addition to their degree, during their degree program itself. Next. Skill development like corporate finance, organizational behavior, and HR management are also essential. Efforts are needed to tackle local problems locally. make small groups of students and identify small research industry problems. CTMS and industry can fund such type of programs by the way of paid internships to the students so that they can visit different industries and find the solutions to the problems. Day-to-day needs of the industry needs skill sets. These skill sets should also be developed amongst the students. Visionary thinking and planning beyond day-to-day working is also essential to keep pace with the international development. But only international development is not sufficient. Not only 10% of students go for such kind of competitions. The remaining 90%, they should be aimed at to find different solutions and develop skill sets for their day-to-day needs. And some part should be kept for further research and development. Next. Innovative thinking, R&D, beyond day-to-day work also is necessary. And we have to develop a knowledge-based economy. Industry uses students in service position. However, highly skilled graduates have a better capability to think and innovate. These engineers should be provided with an opportunity for research and development within their organization. Education and industry can contribute together to this kind of knowledge-based economy for mutual benefit. To elaborate, it is essential to have skill-based laboratory for development of different managerial skills within the students with mutual understanding of industry and education. And also there should be a number of R&D labs, small R&D labs, which will offer different problems, local problems, and have a forum for discussing them and solving them mutually. This will benefit both the industry and education. There is a lot of effort and lot of money going in education industry itself. Education itself has become an industry. A lot of money has been going in the industry called as education. Also, the industry is starving for getting better and better engineers, but the technology is moving so fast that developing skills within engineers to cope up with the technology has also become a challenge. So this knowledge-based economy. So economically use the knowledge for benefit of industry as well as education. And that will be a better solution to the problem. But the problem, even though stated, is a huge problem, a huge challenge. And CTMS has to serve as a catalyst to solve these kind of problems. It is not a simple task. It is a Herculean task. It is a Hanuman task. And you have to find out which solution will be better. So you have to have a trial and error. Next, please. Planning of CTMS activities for academic purpose. All the membership should be available with some simple competitive exam and then payment of small amount of fees annually. Other organizations, they take the fees, just take the fees and give the membership. Students even do not take cognizance of these professional organizations. So there should be some competitive exam so that they feel that yes, they have achieved something. Students should get an opportunity for paid internships and scholarships. If they pay fees, they will ask, what are you going to give me? So they should get scholarships, internships, and job opportunities. That is the main thing for which they are learning and they are getting the opportunities. There should be a sumptuous amount of prizes for competitions based upon skill development. So those prizes should be very prestigious prizes and sumptuous amounts. They should not be only local, but they should be at least national. Step by step, they should go for local, then maybe state level, and then finally all India level. Leadership and guidance can be provided by peers. So amongst the students, the seniors can help the juniors. There should be an appraisal of the staff working as volunteers for CTMS activities, both in industry and education. Otherwise, why the staff should put on their own time and effort in such activities? If it is not recognized, no one would be interested to go for it. You cannot make anybody compulsory to work as volunteer. It has to come from within. Research and ongoing labs, training labs should be set up. The ongoing training, you can have such labs that such kind of automatic training tools, automatic servicing tools should be developed along with hardware and software. It is not a simple job because every time the model of the gadget is changing, the old model gets obsolete and you have to again work on the new model and all the approach and all the design is changing. So it is a continuous process of even training for such kind of changes in servicing and maintenance also. And it is necessary to have the research component in it also. Next. For teachers and students, for students, there should be projects which are live, local projects. There should be internships. There should be entrepreneur activities, expert lectures, seminars and webinars, hands-on trainings, value-added courses, career opportunities and talks of experts, scholarships for attending the technical events. This is the new concept. If you attend a program, then if you attend so many programs with active alert attendance, then you will get a sponsorship. That's a good thing. No? Awards for best volunteers should be given. Next. For teachers, faculty development programs should be designed. Sponsorships for attending conferences. There should be research grants given by industries and different organizations. Awards should be for recognition and recognizing the faculty efforts in the self-appraisal if somebody is volunteering for such activities. Next. For industry personnel, what is the advantage of becoming member? There should be on-job training as per need. There should be an opportunity of R&D activities with the colleges in collaboration. There should be some setting up of labs and tie-ups with colleges. There should be some motivation and giving motivation and incentives to the volunteers. Next. I have myself written a poem on the developments of telecom through 4 decades. Since I was a student, the only telecom that we learned was line communication, wired communication, radio communication, and microwave communication was coming in, and TV was very rare. So we used to learn Morse code. So I started with Morse code, DIT da alpha. DIT da is did is a dot, da is a dash. So it was a binary coding, dot and dash, dot and dash. So did da, we used to call alpha. Da did we used to call beta. And such kind of dots and dashes were typed by the teleprinter, telemachine, and it was called as a Morse code. For A to Z, there were different kinds of dots and dash designed, and it was coded on one side, and the other side it was decoded. And then it was printed, relaying communication from human to human with the help of machines. Audio, radio, microwave, TV, satellite, text, speech, video, music, which was played for entertainment of the human beings. All the while, the center was only human. We started with first G, which was Lord Ganesh. So that was 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. Higher and higher Gs. We are going to reach 33 million gods, 33 Gs. There is no end to that. Internet connection with a large bandwidth, with a ever increasing thirst for large bandwidth. Further, on the top of that, artificial intelligence. The things have changed. The center is now changed. The center is machine, eliminating human, which is a very devastating experience. Now the person is sitting next to you, is not talking to you, is all the time engaged in the mobile. And instead of asking for meals, my son is asking for large bandwidth. How much large bandwidth you can give when I come home? But let's remember that we are humans and want to remain humans. Once an old person ordered pizza and a Coke from the restaurant. The restaurant already had got his data, medical data, and the machine really denied that, man, you should not eat pizza and Coke because your health records do not permit it. We are going to send you only the simple meal and you should eat that. So humans are controlling, machines are controlling humans. But then we have to at least remember that yes, we are not machines, we are humans. And let's not take machines take over us. My best wishes for CTMS to remember that we are humans. One more poem I have recited on Dr. Hanumanta Chaudhary. I didn't know him personally, but I had a great fortune to talk to him. And I remembered him coming to our college when I was a student. So it was a great honor even to talk to him. Today I am able to see him. Dr. THC, the great father of telecom manufacturing industry, a founder of CTMS, created the first prestigious dot and then a series of dots for public of India. A leader, a consultant, a chairman, an advisor, an author and director, and a president. And what not, every role you have played. Hats off to you to achieve such marvelous things only in one life. We would have to take number of lives to achieve such things. You are really great. Long live Dr. THC. That's our only wish. And be active, be a mentor for all of us. Best wishes for all of your work and best wishes for CTMS and its work. I hope that I will also get some motivation and work continuously like Dr. Hanumanta Chaudhary, and I hope I can do that. Thank Thank you so much, Dr. Mohan Raju, Dr. Chaudhary, and all the dignitaries for giving me this opportunity. I think you have enjoyed at least my poems. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the enthralling
Thank
us
you.
with your
Thank you.
poems.
Thank you, Madhuri Bhai. Thank you, Madhuri Bhai.
Thank you for your poems. And of course, touching upon very key points of,
In Gujarat, it is Madhuri Ben. In Maharashtra, it is Madhuri Bhai.
we have Ma. Oh,
In Andhra, it is Madhuri Amma.
Amma, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us.
Yeah, I'm called Ma.
Yeah.
M.A. Joshi. So M.A. is my initial, and all my students call me Ma only.
No.
Thank you, ma'am. Going forward, may I?
No, Rajgaru.
Yes, Chaudhary Garu. Yeah, we are just 5 minutes to closure. Only your award is the last thing, which is what is coming now.
May I now
Yes.
humbly request Dr. Chair. I would now like to call upon stage Sri Ramesh Chopra, Executive Chairman and Founder of EFI Group, to present the Lifetime Achievement Award to Dr. T.H. Chaudhary. Meanwhile, we have a video to play.
Excuse me, may I make an announcement, please?
Yes,
Yeah, so Mr. Chopra is unable now, but he has recorded a message for us. So, Miss Asha Kiran, can you play that message for us?
Yes, we can.
It's a great pleasure for me to present the Lifetime Achievement Recognition Award to Dr. T.H. Chaudhary. Rather, I would say it's an honor. The World Telecom Day today is the most appropriate day to recognize the efforts and contributions of Dr. Chaudhary in the field of telecommunications. Congratulations, Dr. Chaudhary. May your work inspire many others.
Thank you very much. And Electronics for You is a great journal. I hope it will have more and more circulation, and you will address issues that concern the further evolution of our society into an information society, for which telecommunications are just what air and water are for life. So telecommunications, more of them, and every way, that is what should be our aim to achieve. And your journal and you shall strive to advance this revolution. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, sir. It's good to hear from you for kind words. Coming next, may I now humbly request Mr. T.H. Chaudhary to share a few more words about receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award, sir. Can we hear a little more from you?
Yeah, Asha, I think that's done. We can move to the vote of thanks.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we close, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of a wonderful session. We would like to thank all of you for having made the relaunch function of CTMS a special one. We look forward to your participation in future deliberations at CTMS as well. Thank you one and all, and have a pleasant day ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Asha, and thank you everyone for attending. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Rajgaru.
Thank
Thanks
you.
all around.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Have a great day.
ఇది బయట డ్రైనేజ్ ఏమైందంటే అదంతా బ్లాక్ అయిందంటే మన 2-3 రోజుల నుంచి బ్లాక్ అయితే అది క్లీన్ చేశారు. క్లీన్ చేస్తే అదంతా ఒకసారి రోడ్ వచ్చింది అనమాట. రోడ్ వచ్చి మన డౌన్ ఉంది కదా, రివర్స్ కొడుతుంది. ఇదంతా పైప్ అంతా ఆఫ్ అయిన తర్వాత అప్పుడు
Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you, Ma, for attending the. It's over. It's a pleasure to go. Thank you, Ashaji. So now I'll just turn off the. Thanks, it was pretty good. Okay, I'm just switching off the live stream now. I've already done that. I'm closing the chat for all. Okay, thank you.